3 20-game winning seasons, 134 Major League wins. He beat Toronto 3 times last year. Jack Morris was the MVP of the World Series. Now he's got a new uniform from the Minnesota Twins to the Toronto Blue Jays. They go today. And welcome to ESPN's coverage of spring training Major League Baseball from Chayla Lakes Park in Winter Haven, Florida, the home of the Boston Red Sox in the springtime as they take on the Toronto Blue Jays. Hello, everybody. Gary Thorne, and welcome. This is our second broadcast on ESPN of spring training baseball. These teams met yesterday. Toronto won, and this season these teams may well meet a lot in games that count, because last season Toronto won the American League Eastern Division. Boston ended up tied for second, 7 games behind. Those were the standings last year. Tommy Hutton, this season these two teams expected to go at it. Big names: Roger Clemens, Jack Morris.
Can't have it any better in spring training, Gary. A couple of the Major League Baseball's toughest competitors pitching today. Think about Jack Morris. I think he's going to be a horse with the Toronto Blue Jays pitching staff. He's been a horse over the last 14 years. They've had Dave Stieb for 12. He had back surgery in the offseason, so he might not be ready at the beginning of the year. You also have to look at Dave Winfield, Gary. Here's another veteran who's going to really stabilize the DH role for the Blue Jays as well as the rest of the offense.
Tommy, interesting that all the hubbub that went on about Roger Clemens arriving late to camp, maybe a put down on Butch Hobson. I'm not sure anybody cared about that except the press.
You know, a couple of guys might have cared, but once they saw Roger's work ethic and what he did when he went out and pitched 3 or 4 times in the spring, they didn't care anymore either.
And they won't care when he starts throwing again this year either. Dave Campbell's also joining us today down on the field. New manager. Joe Morgan's gone. Butch Hobson's here.
Thanks, Gary. Well, you know, it is kind of interesting. Joe Morgan was one of those old throwback type managers, and I think Butch Hobson was a throwback type player. But I think Butch is kind of one of those modern type managers who feels he's really going to have to get along with his players. One of the things he's instituted is that he really wants to get involved in the computer charts, something Joe Morgan didn't really want to have anything to do with. Second thing is he wants his club to be more aggressive on the base paths. Now, the Boston Red Sox historically are a station-to-station team. They only take the extra base 38% of the time last year. That was the worst in the major leagues. But with a new third base coach, Don Zimmer, very aggressive philosophy. In the early going, the Red Sox have gotten thrown out a lot on the bases, but they want to be aggressive. They want to force the other team into mistakes. Gary?
Thank you. We are expecting most of the starters to be in the lineup that we'll see on opening day. Red Sox and Toronto.
ESPN's Major League Baseball is brought to you by Subway. Sandwiches and salads for today's healthy lifestyles. By Scott's, a great lawn or your money back. By Pepto-Bismol, the one that coats is the only one you need. And by American Airlines, something special in the air.
A lot of rain here last night, but right now it looks as though we're going to get it in without any rain as Roger Clemens is taken to the mound. Lineup he'll face for Cito Gaston's Toronto Blue Jays today. And we will see most of the starters. Devon White will make the start in center field. Roberto Alomar's not here, so Jeff Kent will be starting at second base. Joe Carter out the last 4 games as the DH. John Olerud will be their regular first baseman. Kelly Gruber's not here, so Rance Mulliniks is starting at third. The catcher today will be Greg Myers. He'll be with the team this season. This man's fighting for a starting job. Derek Bell, he'll be in right field. Rob Ducey will make the start in left, the utility man who will be used, and Manuel Lee will be at short.
And on the mound, Roger Clemens. He's only 29 years old. It's hard to believe, with 3 Cy Young awards in his trophy case. He led the American League last year in earned run average, strikeouts, innings pitched, shutouts, and games started. I talked about Jack Morris being a horse. Put this guy in the exact same category. Roger Clemens. Defensively, behind the rocket for Boston this afternoon. It'll set up with Greenwell, Burks, and Plantier. Now, Burks is going to get a workout this year playing between Greenwell and Plantier. Boggs and Vaughn, John Valentin, the young shortstop, Jody Reed, and Tony Pena will be behind the plate, and Pena, as always, expects to catch 9 innings this afternoon.
Told Tony before the game, he's sitting in the dugout. I said, well, you're starting out just like always, eh? You're going to work about 40 games here in spring training. He said, hey, why not? John Valentin, a young shortstop we're going to take a look at today. Butch Hobson has spent time with him when Hobson was at AAA Pawtucket. This kid, I think if Hobson had his choice, would start at shortstop for the Red Sox this year, or at least be with the team. But the numbers game is probably going to catch up with him, and he won't be there.
Yeah, numbers including Luis Rivera and Tim Naring. Roger Clemens, we touched on briefly the fact that he reported late to spring training. He has a tremendous workout program in the offseason, and I don't think there was ever a doubt in his teammates that he would report in shape. I think a little concern was the fact that Butch Hobson taking over the club, a new manager, they kind of would have liked to seen Roger here on time. Didn't work out that way. But believe me, Clemens will be there on time when it's his turn to start.
Yeah, he's ready to go. Clemens is working in his 4th start. Devon White will lead it off. You see the numbers last season for this speedy center fielder who is a switch hitter. And last year against the right-handers at 273. And we're underway. We'll have another full house here. There'll be 5,000 or 6,000 jammed in and standing and in the outfield and everywhere else. Tommy and I were talking about how the spring training games, how it used to be, it kind of just saunter in, sit down someplace, watch the game, you have a couple of hot dogs. Now you got to get tickets in advance, almost like the regular season. There's just not a seat in a house for spring training anymore. Clemens on Devon White. 2-0 delivery and 2-1.
A lot of people forget about Devon White when you talk about the Toronto Blue Jays last season. So many people mentioned Joe Carter and Roberto Alomar, the types of years they had. Many felt Devon White could have been the MVP of the ball club.
Great leadoff hitter. Last season he hit .346 when he led off any inning. He's the kind of guy you want on base anyway because he has outstanding speed. He's able to run well on the base pass. He's a quality leadoff hitter. Clemens try to get him inside. We'll take it full.
We have a couple of pitchers working today, and Clemens and Jack Morris, and because of timing and setting up a rotation, these two guys obviously will be the opening day pitchers for their respective ball clubs.
3-2. White keep it alive. Clemens thus far in this is his 4th start. He has worked 12 innings, given up 9 hits. He's walked 6 and struck out 11. Record of 1-1, but really not much meaning to that. He worked 5 innings in the last game. Probably will go 5, could go 6, depending on the number of pitches thrown here today. 3-2 again to Devon White. And he got it. 12 strikeouts. Mr. K is back at work.
Great example of a pitch that Roger Clemens maybe wouldn't have thrown a few years ago. 3-2 before he just reached back, throw the hard fastball. Look at this ball move. Tailing away to Devon White. Now, even though Devon struck out 135 times last year, he still is a valuable leadoff man. But there's a look at how Clemens has changed a little bit, altered his style, but still is a tough competitor.
Double-A ball for Jeff Kent. Probably some Triple-A work coming for him this season. Roberto Alomar, of course, the all-star, will be the regular second baseman for Toronto. But Kent's going to get some work here today at second with Alomar not being with the team. Clemens with the 0-1. Misses up high.
It's one of those stories where they tell the youngster, oh, Jeff, by the way, you're going to make that trip to Winter Haven tomorrow with the ball club, and Clemens is pitching.
Oh. Oh. And the breaking ball. Mamma mia, 1 and 2.
Tell you what, though, you see a guy like Clemens, you're Jeff Kent, you're trying to make a ball club. He might not make the ball club, but he's been impressive for Toronto, and what it does, it stays in the minds of the coaching staff, Cito Gaston. They remember the young players. They remember the type of springs they have.
Absolutely right, Tommy. Making it to the major league level is, for most players, not a matter of 1 year. You got him on that one. That ball had movement away again. And Roger Clemens has struck out the first 2 Toronto Blue Jays here in the first inning. There is Cito Gaston behind the bench. The back feeling much better after all the suffering he went through last year. And of course, having to get out for part of the season to go in for surgery work on it. He says the back feels fine, and I'm just ready to go.
Yeah, it feels great. It wasn't as bad as they initially thought, so he's in great shape.
Joe Carter fouls it back. Carter's missed the last 4 games for the Blue Jays here this spring. He's had lower back spasms, So he's getting back in action here today. You see the setup against him, and they are deep, swung around to left. He's a pull hitter. 2 down, bases empty. Clemens breaking ball. Look at that curve he's throwing, Tommy.
It's something that he might try to use a little bit more this year as curveball. Back in his first couple of seasons in the major leagues, he used that pitch a little more, and he may go back to it to take a little stress off throwing the hard slider.
Thought he had him right there. Durwood Merrill, the veteran umpire, working behind the plate. Joe Brinkman and Rocky Rowe are the other 2 umpires. 3 umpires for spring training games. There's Durwood.
And they know that Clemens is around the plate. Just 65 walks last year to go along with 241 strikeouts. Pretty good ratio.
Pretty good ratio, yeah. 1 ball, 2 strike count. And the Rockets got him. Well, why don't they just send him into the clubhouse and ready for opening day? Well, Roger Clemens didn't take long as he got that done in a hurry. Now we'll see the Boston Red Sox at an offense that could be very explosive. Just the 300, Wade Boggs. He'll be leading it off at second base. He'll be the starter this season. Jody Reed. Great spring right now from Mike Greenwell. He'll bat third in left field. Ellis Burks, even a better spring, batting cleanup. Phil Plantier with that great stance and lots of power in right field. Tom Brunansky will be the designated hitter today. Mo Vaughn battling for the job at first base now with Quintana out. Tony Pena doesn't battle anything. He just plays every day. John Valentin will be making the start at shortstop, and he'll bat ninth.
And there's a good look at the 36-year-old veteran Jack Morris. Over the last 14 seasons, he's averaged 33 starts and 230 innings pitched. You see what he did last year. Everybody who followed postseason play certainly knows what he did for the Minnesota Twins. All you have to do is ask the Toronto Blue Jays and the Atlanta Braves. The defense for the Toronto Blue Jays, Devon White, who probably is the best center fielder defensively in the American League. Derek Bell, the youngster, in right. Mullenix gets the start. Kelly Gruber not making this trip. Jeff Kent, John Olerud, the young first baseman. Greg Myers will handle Jack Morris this afternoon.
And the home crowd welcoming one of their heroes, Wade Boggs. He's batted over 300 in each of his first 10 years of Major League Baseball, and is posing the interesting question of how much am I worth? The negotiations going on. He wants it done by the start of the season, or don't do it anymore till the season's done. Why hurry? Everybody keeps earning more money. Just wait. He'll be the first $10 million man. What a hitter.
Boggs had a few problems physically. He had a pull growing early in the spring. Had a couple of base hits in the ball game against Toronto yesterday over in Dunedin, Florida. And he said all of a sudden the stroke's starting to come around. He's staying with his 31-ounce bat that he went to last year about halfway through the season. He feels more comfortable with that now.
Boggs is 5 for 26 on the spring now, as Lee makes the play at short, 1 away. You see the lettering, of course, on the Red Sox uniforms in memory of Gene Yawkey, who passed away a couple of weeks ago now. Of course, Tom Yawkey's wife, and they, the great owners of the Boston Red Sox through their history. So the Red Sox will play this season in honor of Mrs. Yawkey. Jody Reed steps in, the second baseman. Mrs. Yawkey had met with the Red Sox ownership, and they had settled where her shares and interest in the club would go. So the club's not going to be sold in the immediate future. John Harrington will handle her estate and have the power of attorney over her interest in the Red Sox, now the estate's interest. So that kind of quieted things for the moment for the Red Sox.
I think that pleased a lot of people in the Boston area too.
And she did it as she did most everything in her life. Gene Yawkey did it quietly. Nobody knew the meeting had taken place. Nobody knew she had worked out those arrangements and what would happen in case of her death. But as usual, it had been done. There's an inside out for you. Kent. Gets Reed over to Olerud, and there are 2 down on a couple of ground balls off Jack Morris.
Well, we saw Clemens strike out the side. We're seeing Jack Morris do it in his way. Maybe not quite the strikeout pitcher he was years ago, but with the differences in speeds, the way he hides the ball, the way he can bust a fastball inside, then throw the fork ball. Every once in a while, that bloop curve ball. He just keeps hitters off balance.
He's worked 16 innings thus far this spring, given up 11 hits, walked 8, struck out 3. Like Clemens, a 1-1 mark. Mike Greenwell, the left fielder for the Boston Red Sox, and he takes it up high. Greenwell thus far this spring working at a 250 clip. Two down, nobody on. 1-0 delivered to Greenwell. It goes by everybody.
You know, I look at these two pitchers this afternoon, Jack Morris and Roger Clemens. Competitors, they're both excellent fielders. You kind of wish you'd see them in the National League, and I bet they'd be good hitters too. Or they'd give you a battle at the plate anyway.
You know, that you're right. You're absolutely right. It would be a treat to see those two guys go at it, because you know, as competitive as they are, they would take a ton of batting practice. And can you see Clemens with a bat in his hand standing out there and somebody throw one inside to him? We'd have a whole new textbook.
Wouldn't want to be first up next inning.
No, sure wouldn't want to do that, would you? Morris also will probably work 5 innings, 5 or 6 here today. He, in his last start, went against the Phillies, or the Royals, and worked 5 innings. He gave up just 1 hit and 1 run in that game. He's had a very solid spring.
Well, I was
ready to go.
Talking with the pitching coach, Galen Cisco of the Toronto Blue Jays, and what they've done with Jack Morris. He's going on 3 days rest. This will be the last time this spring he'll go on that short of rest, 3 days. That way, that'll set him up to pitch April 6th against his former teammates, the Detroit Tigers, at Tiger Stadium.
And he'll set a record in doing it. And he got him. Greenwell chasing one that time. That record he's going to set. He'll have 13 consecutive opening day starts.
Hey, in the good old days of baseball, the pitchers used to go into the dugout in between innings, kind of mop off the brow, get out the winter fat. Roger Clemens, he struck out the side in the first inning. Then he goes down to the bullpen and takes ground balls going back and forth together. You see him heading back to the mound. Roger Clemens, a consummate pro. He's getting himself in shape.
There you see what he did in that first inning. He just mowed everybody down is what he did. He struck the side out, which means the way he runs this, Tommy, there's no break between innings for him.
No break in between. What he did down in the bullpen, they're called pickups, where a coach will flip ground balls a little bit to the right, back to the left. Pitchers used to do those 15-20 years ago all the time. It's almost become a thing of the past. A couple of back problems, settle that quickly.
Yeah. Here's John Olerud, the young man who's put some weight on himself here, trying to muscle it up a little bit. He's batting in the cleanup spot, playing at first base. That is why he did it. Pretty deep center field. Ellis Burks going back, looking. Goodbye, spring training home run. John Olerud. Nice muscle. He didn't even give me time to talk about it.
Yeah, but the folks back up in the greater Northwest saw it. Washington State University. John Olerud probably won't hit cleanup this year with Joe Carter, Dave Winfield around. Last year he had a lot of pressure on him hitting in that spot, and many with the Blue Jays feel that now that he'll hit down in the lineup, probably 6th, he'll be a lot more relaxed and a lot more productive.
That's a 40-foot drive you just saw, folks. It's 420 straight away center. Mullenix down the left field line to Greenwell. 1 down. First home run, by the way, for Olerud this season. Olerud having a good spring, batting .273, 4 RBIs in spring training. 1 away here in the 2nd inning. He got around on that one. 1 down, base is empty, and it'll bring up Greg Myers, who's doing the catching. Here's numbers from last year, and Myers had an even 300 coming into this game. He's had only 10 at-bats thus far. Chops it. Oh, what a play by Jody Reed. 2 down.
Well, Jody Reed inspired by that great Seminole victory yesterday against Georgetown to make that play. Jody, a graduate of FSU, went there 3 years anyway, and outstanding baseball player there, and he is an outstanding second baseman. Quick reactions, probably the most solid of the Red Sox infielders. Jody Reed can turn the double play, has good range, and a good strong throwing arm.
That's all he was asking anybody around a clubhouse today, Tommy. Who won that game yesterday? Because they all thought probably they weren't going to. Interesting story right here, Tommy. You do a lot of work with the Toronto Blue Jays. This man's fighting for a job. Derek Bell takes it outside from Clemens. 2-0.
Well, here's a guy who was the minor league player of the year voted by Baseball Digest. He has power. He's a pretty good outfielder. They would like to see him win the job and play right field. If he doesn't, the veteran Candy Maldonado would be around. He would be in right field. And what the Blue Jays want to do this year is keep Joe Carter in left field as opposed to playing him out right field where they did last year. But they would really like to give this young man every opportunity, and he has played very well this spring.
Batting .324, Bell out of Tampa, Florida. Bell last season at Syracuse led the league in hitting, .346, hits, RBIs, 93, runs, 89, MVP of the International League, and as Tommy said, voted by Baseball America as their minor league player of the year. And Bell takes the curve, gets the walk. First walk given up by Roger Clemens with 2 down here in the second.
You know, I think Derek Bell last year learned a valuable lesson that a lot of young players sometimes have to learn. He was called up, played in 18 games, but hit just .143. He said this year all he wants to do is go out there, relax, and be Derek Bell. He was trying to be a little bit too much last year.
That's what those call-ups are for, aren't they? At the end of the year. Get your feet wet. Rob Ducey, another Florida native, born in Toronto, but resides in Palm Harbor now. Vaughn will hold at first base with 2 down. A run in here in the home run, leadoff home run by Olerud in the inning on the only hit we've had in the game thus far. Ducey, a utility player, has been up and down over the last 5 years with the Jays and their AAA club at Syracuse. He's got permanent flight tickets between Toronto and Syracuse, I think. He's using plenty of them. 39 games with Toronto last year and 72 with Syracuse.
Yeah, frequent flyer miles he wouldn't like to have.
No, doesn't want to go anywhere except the dome. Clemens misses.
Little change right there in Roger Clemens on that last pitch. He and Morris both pretty good moves to first, but once they deliver to the plate, they're a little slow with the leg kicks. That time Clemens gave the little side step with the foot. This time he gives the kick, so he's altering his delivery to the plate, which will confuse Derek Bell at first base.
2-0 count. There are new things under the sun. The slide step is something that we had not seen a lot until the last 3-4 years, when a lot of pitchers who had trouble holding runners on went to it. Quick throw, and it gets by Vaughn. And Bell ends up at second base. As Mo Vaughn could not handle that. That'll be an error, I believe, on Vaughn.
Well, we'll see if that actually was a bad throw or if it was the error to the first baseman, Mo Vaughn. And Derek Bell, 27 steals last year at Syracuse, just adds a little bit more speed to the Toronto lineup. That ball wasn't that badly thrown. I'd have to give the error to Mo Vaughn, and that's a concern of the Red Sox, the defensive ability of Mo Vaughn.
Clemens, the fastball. 2-1, 2 down, runner at second. We haven't mentioned, of course, I'm sure baseball fans aware, Carlos Quintana involved in the auto injury in his home, so he's back now with the Red Sox, but he's gone until probably well after the All-Star break, and he would have been the regular first baseman. Now Vaughn is there. He will probably start at first base.
Yeah, the other thing that the Red Sox might do, talking with Butch Hobson, against some left-handers, because Mo Vaughn does swing the bat left-handed, he may play Tom Brunansky there. Brunansky has played first base a little bit this spring.
They've got Jack Clark, of course, and Tom Brunansky to work off the bench in right field and at first base. Ducey with a 2-2 count, 2 away, 1-0. The Jays are leading on the home run by John Olerud here this inning. Derek Bell on at second base. Movement stopped by Tony Pena, full count.
By the way, that's one of the things that may keep Brunansky in a Red Sox uniform, because there had been some talk that he wanted out, he wanted to be traded, but because of the situation with Quintana and other positions, they may need Brunansky this year.
The other thing, Tommy, in talking to the Red Sox players before the game, I heard no bad word on or off the record about Butch Hobson. They are really impressed with the way he has organized the spring training camp and the way it's being run. He's gained some early respect of the Red Sox players, and that is not a knock on Joe Morgan, but just a positive note on Hobson. He seems to have the ability to get everybody involved in the team, coaches, players, personnel, and they all feel like they're working a common goal here. 3-2 count. Bell at second, being held close by Valentin, and he got him inside fastball. 4 strikeouts now for Roger Clemens in the game. The home run by Olerud, though, gives Toronto the 1-0 lead. 24 years old, and he's the starting first baseman, John Olerud, and he's given Toronto the 1-0 lead on the home run off Roger Clemens. As Morris with a run to work with here at Chain of Lakes Park in Winter Haven. Cloudy skies, rain last night. Teams didn't get to take batting practice or fielding practice. Wanted to let the field dry out here at Winter Haven at Chain of Lakes. Oh, the Red Sox hitting the cage, and Toronto got here fairly late. Jack Morris, Ellis Burks, 6 hits in his last 14 at bats, and Burks is off to a .382 spring. This is up high and in on that one. 1 ball, 1 strike. Roger Clemens continuing his work there. Tommy, there's your pickup game.
There they are. There they are. Helps your lateral movement, helps your flexibility, helps your wind,
and cuts your waist. Try that.
We ought to be down there.
I'm telling you, try that sometime. I'm serious. To folks who wonder what that's worth, just don't even have to have anybody with you. Just put a line of rocks, balls, anything you got down on the ground, and go back and forth from one side to the other, picking them up. Shot to deep left field, way back. Goodbye, home run, 1-1. Ellis Burks. Tommy, what a spring he's having.
He's having a great spring, and the Red Sox really need to have Ellis Burks continue it on and stay healthy. He's had so many injury problems, had a hamstring problem, knee problems last year. His back gave him trouble. But when he's healthy, which he was in 1990, played 152 ball games, he can do some damage, just the way he did on that pitch there by Jack Morris.
3 home runs, 10 RBIs, leads the Red Sox in RBIs this spring, and he's tied the game up 1-1. So a couple of long balls off Clemens and Morris. There he is, Ellis Burks.
Yeah, real key, I believe, for the Red Sox this year is to have a healthy Ellis Burks.
Phil Plantier, the off-speed pitch by Morris. Plantier's putter in a firecracker, 11 for 29. Those were the numbers that Plantier ended up with the last season. This guy also has power, seemingly maybe made for Fenway if he pulls that ball right down that right field line. Morris's fastball is fouled back. 2 balls, 1 strike. He's changed his stance a little bit, Tommy.
Yeah, he has. If you remember when he first came up, his first stint with the Red Sox, he was almost appeared to be sitting down when he was in the batter's box, but he's kind of come up a little bit. He still has a crouch, but not quite the way it was when he first joined Boston.
Morris missing down low with it, runs the count to 3 balls and 1 strike. Last year for Jack Morris, hard to talk about still the fact he left Minnesota and all the rhubarb that it created, that he ran for the money, and Morris's response has consistently been, well, so would you. And I think that's about as honest as you can get with it. 3-1, and he walked it. So Plantier is on. First walk given up by Morris. Nobody out here in the second inning, and a run in. Tom Brunansky will be coming up. Take a look at Butch Hobson, the Red Sox manager. I want to remind you here on ESPN today, the LPGA standard registered ping. The final round coverage will be coming up from Phoenix, Arizona. That will be at 4. You'll see the Vintage Invitational, the Senior PGA at 5:30, and the NCAA Tournament Special. John Saunders, Jim Valvano, and Dick Vitale at 7 o'clock tonight. We'll bring you up to date on the NCAA play that's gone on thus far and look at the rounds coming up as you look at Tom Brunansky, the DH.
Greg Myers with a quick chat to Jack Morris. Tom Brunansky, we talked about a little bit of a decline last year, but you look at his batting average last season, low, but still 16 home runs and 70 RBIs. It's tough to part with that.
Sure is. Takes the strike. He walked 49 times, struck out 72, which is not a bad ratio for the guy with a big cut that Tom Brunansky has. And Brunansky always loved playing at Fenway, a ballpark where he has been very successful over the years. And that's a broken bat to right field. Bell coming, diving, trapped it. And Plantier will have to hold at second base. Brunansky's on with a single, and Morris hasn't gotten anyone out here in the second inning.
A good try by Derek Bell, but some good heads-up base running by Phil Plantier. If you're the runner at first, you're not sure if this ball is going to be caught. Number one, a nice play by Bell to keep it in front of him and trap it and not let it get by, but a good play by Plantier to go halfway, pick it up, and then get to second base. Some runners would have been closer to first. Bell would have had to play at second.
So the Red Sox with something going here in the second after the leadoff homer by Ellis Burks. The walk to Plantier, the single by Brunansky. Runners at first and second, and here is Mo Vaughn. Morris inside, misses, ball one. Vaughn's hitting just 191, a concern of the Red Sox thus far this spring, and he's had 47 at-bats. He has picked up only 9 hits in the 47 at-bats, no home runs, 3 RBIs, striking out 9 times, walking 3 times. I'd like those numbers to get turned around. Plenty of time to do it for shots like that. Bell over, won't have a play. Plantier will make the turn and be held. No, he goes through it. All rolled to throw to the plate, and he's in. Myers didn't get it blocked. Plantier ran through the stop sign that time, and it's a 2-1 Red Sox lead. RBI to Vaughn.
Well, one error paid off, the one by Plantier running through the stop sign. Got that fastball up, and Mo Vaughn jumped on it. Pretty good throw by Derek Bell, but watch the turn by John Olerud. He turns the wrong way. Instead of taking the throw, making the turn the other way and being ready to make a throw to the plate, he almost reacted as if he weren't ready to come home with it. Plantier was able to capitalize and score.
What may have happened on that, Tommy, is that somebody may have been hollering, looking at the third base coach, hollering to Olerud, he ain't going, he ain't going.
Well, what you have to do as a first baseman or third baseman taking throws from the outfield, you have to keep taking a peek. It's tough to rely on somebody.
So Tony Pena stands in now, squares, up high, nobody out.
But I'll tell you what, a good point by you, Gary. It is possible. There have been third base coaches in the past who will give the hold sign, yet yell, go. And
That's right.
That will mess you up.
That'll do it. That may even mess up the runner. A 2-1 lead for Boston. They've got 3 hits now off Jack Morris. Nobody out here in the second inning. Tony Pena, 6 hits in his last 14 at bats, 333 on the spring. And Morris is down loader. 2 balls, no strikes. Where's our Dave Campbell? David?
I'm hiding under an umbrella. It's sprinkling, but normally the third base coach for the Red Sox is Don Zimmer, the former Cubs manager, but Al Bumbry down there today because Zim's got a little bit of an Achilles tendon pull, and Butch Hobson is sitting with Don in the dugout.
And I guarantee you, Don Zimmer is one of those third base coaches I was talking about that's done that before.
And he's giving Bumbry the what for over there, I suspect, too. Either way, either the good news that he was able to pull it off, or hey, you're supposed to be coaching over there, what the heck are you doing? 2-0 count. First and second occupied. Morris the breaking ball. Morris wants a new baseball. 3 balls, no strikes on Pena. John Valentin waiting on deck.
Again, spring training completely different than the regular season, but guys like Morris and Clemens are the type of pitchers that get the job done even if they don't have the best stuff.
Battle through it. Tony was taking all the way that time. 3 balls, 1 strike.
They're not the type of pitchers who will look over their shoulder into the bullpen.
So he said his 13th consecutive opening game will be coming up. He'll break the record he holds with Tom Seaver and Robin Roberts at 12. Right center field, White and Bell. Devon White tagging up at second was Tom Brunansky. He'll go to third uncontested. Tony Pena becomes the first out here in the second inning. Brunansky at third, Vaughn at first.
Just a little thing right there. Dave Campbell was talking about it earlier, Gary, about how the Red Sox with Butch Hobson at the helm want to be a little more aggressive on the base paths. Brunansky not with great speed, but once he saw Devon White, the center fielder, making the catch going away from the play, going into right center, he was able to tag up and make it look relatively easy getting to third base. Hobson likes to see more of that.
We're talking with Butch and some of the coaches. They smiled a little bit. He's tried to run people, but they've been thrown out 11 times while stealing 7 bases thus far this season. The Red Sox have not been known in their history as a ball club that steals many bases. And this year doesn't look like that's going to change very much. But those kind of things you can do. Moving up, getting the extra base and the fly balls, and get it that way.
Yeah, it's not so much the stolen base. It's the first to third, the taking the extra base on a sacrifice, things like that.
John Valentin, there you see the numbers, playing at Pawtucket last season. And it's taken for a strike. He was a 5th-round pick in '88 by the Red Sox out of New Jersey, St. Anthony's High School, noted for its great basketball players. In fact, he was one of them there. He was in the starting backcourt with David Rivers. He now plays for the Clippers and was with Notre Dame. He went to Seton Hall. Valentin did. And Butch Hobson loves him. Hobson, of course, was at Pawtucket managing last year, so he knows all about this young man. He's got a cannon for an arm, can pick it at shortstop. The only question has been his ability to hit, and Butch told me before the game, he says, the kid's having a great spring. His bat's really coming around. He may be here. He probably won't be here when it starts, but he may be here before the season's over. 1-1 count, 1 out, runners at first and third. Pop that one up to first. John Olerud, 2 down.
Talking about John Valentin and Seton Hall. Mo Vaughn went to Seton Hall. Kevin Morton, left-hander with the Red Sox. So we have a good following in Jersey for this one.
Absolutely. The Seton Hall crew is always asking about the Red Sox and how their contingents are doing. Well, let's see what Wade Boggs can do here with the Red Sox leading 2-1. 2 runs in. Burks had the homer. The RBI by Vaughn on the single. Runners at first and third, 2 away now. Boggs with the RBI opportunity. And Morris is down low, ball 1.
Now Boggs is leading off today, but one of the things the Red Sox are going to try this year is put him in that number 3 spot. Butch Hobson feels that if Boggs hits third, he'll be a little more productive, have a few more RBIs, and he thinks it's going to help the ball club.
Well, interesting number, Tommy. Last year, Boggs batted with only 106 runners in scoring position all year. The fewest that he has ever had an opportunity to bring in any of his years. So hopefully you get him into the 3 spot instead of the 1, and you increase the opportunities for him. And if he continues to have the average, there's no reason why the RBIs at 51 last year can't be dramatically picked up. Runners, Brunansky and Vaughn, third and first. 2-0 count, 2 down. Morris. Look out, almost tore his head off. Boggs gets the RBI. Brunansky scores. Red Sox lead 3-1. Wade Boggs, he's picking it up now. That'll be his 4th RBI.
Well, this is what has made Wade Boggs a .345 lifetime hitter. Jack Morris getting the pitch up, just thankful that the ball missed him and got into center field.
David.
Gary, last year when Wade Boggs led off, the Red Sox were 62-45. When he batted third, they were 13-19. Hobson said he's going to make his mind up within the next 4 days, but he was kind of impressed with those numbers.
Kind of impressed with that hit, too, probably. That won't hurt anything. Jody Reed takes the inside corner strike.
I like the way certain periodicals will write things about different players, and I've read a couple of times. Yeah, Wade Boggs has been declining. He hit .302 last year, .332 the year before. He's declining a little bit.
All hills are relative. There he is on at first base. Red Sox have picked up a home run, 3 singles, and a walk off Jack Morris here in the 2nd inning to take the 3-1 lead over the Jays, who came into this inning with a 1-0 lead on John Olerud's home run off Clemens. Reed, who grounded out first time up, pops that one up, and some lucky fan will take that home as a single. That's spring training right there, isn't it? Shorts, glove, front row seats, feet up on the dugout.
You can always tell the Northerners here in spring training.
Careful
because
now.
it's the sunshine's not even out. The guy with shorts.
Absolutely. If I could, I'd be out there right now, even without the sun. 2 down, 2 strike count. Runners at first and second. There's still nothing like it. Spring training. It is one of the great parts of life. If you like baseball, just being down here and being around it, enjoying the game in these beautiful small parks where the players still Still walk around with a fan, sign autographs for the game. They're walking along the stands. Fans get here early, chow down the hot dogs, a couple of beers, and just relax and enjoy. Got a young man in center field who's direct center field, walking out there on the walkway, waiting to catch a ball. Me?
Well, he saw that one Olerud hit.
Jody Reed ought to be proud. The young man standing out there at the 420 mark, waiting for one.
Maybe he's a Devon White fan, too.
0-2 the count. And Morris down low. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Actually, the youngster was so far away, somebody told him Jack Clark was hitting.
Yeah, that's right. So he backed up a little more, but was still in the line of sight. Is Morris overthrowing a little more than normal today or not? I'm just looking.
You
at
know,
him,
he told me before the game that he said, look out this afternoon. He's gone through a few starts in the spring. This is the dead arm time. And he said his arm felt a little dead, not sore. He'd try to work through it, get his 70, 80 pitches today. But he really didn't have a good feeling before the game about the start this afternoon.
I can see that. He's forcing the body a little more towards first base on the follow through, trying to get a little more umph on the baseball. And it's costing him some control here. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. Vaughn at second. Wade Boggs at first. He got that one in there. Left center field. Ducey and White on the fly. Back near the wall. A 1-hopper off the top and over. Wade Boggs charging in will have to go back. It is a 4-1 lead for the Red Sox. 4 runs in. Credit Reed with one of his many doubles and an RBI.
If you can think back at all the pitches that have been hit hard, they've been pitches that have been above the belt, either fastballs or forkballs by Morris. And hey, that youngster had the right idea. He knew about Jody Reed. Over the last 3 seasons, Jody Reed has averaged 43 doubles a year. So he is the doubles man for the Boston Red Sox.
He's had 6 hits this spring, and 3 of them have been doubles, and he's picked up 4 RBIs. Reed batting only 161 for an average, but getting some production out of it. So the Red Sox lead 4-1. They have 5 hits off Morris. They've batted around. Mike Greenwell now, who struck out swinging his first time up, the only strikeout for Morris. 2 down, 2 in scoring position. Boggs had to go back to third. Reed at second. Floater for a strike.
Well, you hit something hard, going to change things around a little bit. That's what Jack Morris just said. Greenwell saying, wait a minute. Just a changeup. Greenwell thought it may have come in a little high.
2 up high on that one. 1 ball, 1 strike. Greenwell trying to turn some numbers around. Not that they've been bad, but the power numbers have gone down for him over the last 3 seasons as far as slugging percentage and home run rate's concerned. He'd like to pump that up a little bit, get the RBIs up a little more. To short. Lee. Olerud, that'll do it. So the Red Sox bat around here in the 2nd inning and deliver 4 runs on 5 hits, leaving 2 in scoring position.
Well, they say the economy of baseball is spiraling. 5 teams this year are going to have payrolls of $40 million or more. 2 of them right here today, and I saw a great quote this winter. The guy said, the problem with baseball today is the players don't play for the love of the game, the excitement, the thrill of the game. It's just for the money. The interesting thing was the quote was from Ty Cobb, and the year was 1925, so some things never change. Guys?
All right, Dave, and you know what? In 1977, the first year of the Toronto Blue Jays, the payroll that season for the entire team was $850,000.
Last year, they drew 4,001,526. 4 million people. I want that little donut concession upstairs that makes those little donuts, you know, come sliding out.
You've had those.
I love those suckers. You buy them by the bag, about a dozen of them, and they are just great. Probably make $8 billion with 4,000 people going in there. Roger Clemens going back to work here with a 4-1 lead. And Manuel Lee, don't call me Manny, at shortstop. Clemens has walked 1, struck out 4, given up the home run to John Olerud, and look out in the seats.
One of the question marks for the Blue Jays is the shortstop position. Manuel Lee and Eddie Zosky, the #1 pick of a couple of years ago out of Fresno State, have been battling, but at this moment in spring training, Manuel Lee has been more consistent. Zosky still a little inconsistent in the field.
Zosky hitting 138, 29 at bats for him, and he's picked up 4 hits. For Lee, a 296 spring, no home runs, 4 RBIs for him. So he's got the better of it right now offensively. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Manuel Lee. Toronto will be the favorite, I think, by most people in the American League East again, except for the Red Sox. Down the left field line, foul territory, Boggs, no play. Kelly Gruber.
He has no problem with that.
No, Kelly Gruber, the third baseman, not playing today, and there's a nice gesture right there. Look at that. Think that kid will remember that from Wade Boggs? That's what you get in spring training. Kelly Gruber was quoted in the Florida papers today as saying Toronto will probably win by 15 games. Cito Gaston, I smilingly went up to Cito and said, Cito are going to win by 15. Cito just kind of cringed. Kelly's not here. The most 2 may fit together. I'm not sure. Reed. No, that's not true. He played yesterday, not playing today. 1 down here in the 3rd. Tuesday night, we'll have more spring training baseball coming up for you. An interesting matchup. The Los Angeles Dodgers, Mr. Strawberry, Mr. Davis now together. And the New York Mets with Bobby Bonilla, 7:30. John Miller, Joe Morgan. We'll have it. That's Tuesday night. Spring training baseball, Dodgers and Mets.
A couple of exciting defensive teams, the Mets and the Dodgers this year. Offense, no problem. Defense, maybe a problem.
Oof. Breaking ball bounced in the dirt. Devon White, who struck out his first time up. Yeah, the Mets still trying to figure out what they're going to do defensively, with Hojo now playing out in center field. Shortstop kind of open. Kevin Elster's arm is nowhere near 100%. They've got Dave Magadan moving from first to third, at least for the time being. He's going to be there. There are some holes that have got to be set, along with all the other garbage that's taking up more time than they wish. Clemens, another breaking ball. He's thrown a lot of curves today. He's obviously working on the changeup and the breaking ball. 2-1.
Well, the same can be said of the Dodger infield. Pretty unsettled right now. Shortstop position, Samuel. Cal Daniels has been playing first. They're not sure who's going to be playing third. A lot of decisions for Tommy Lasorda to make.
2 ball, 1 strike pitch. To have you with us wherever you are. If you're from my neck of the country in the Northeast. Wow, more snow in the last couple of days up there than we've had all winter long around New England and Maine. Woke up yesterday and had 11 inches on the ground in dear old Portland. Not here. 2 balls, 2 strike delivery. Another breaking ball off the pitching rubber into center field. Devon White's got a base hit. Makes the big turn. Burks will get it back in. Hit number 2, the other one the home run by Olrud off Clemens. 1 down, 1 on.
That pitch looked like the curveball that we talked about earlier that Roger Clemens may throw a little bit more this year. Just to try to keep the hitters off balance. He got it up a little, and that's why Devon White was able to keep the hands back and drive it up the middle.
He struck the side out in the 1st inning. Picked up the other strikeout against Ducey in the 2nd. Part of that 3 strikeout trio in the 1st was Jeff Kent. Stands in there now with 1 out. Another 2-seamer that time. 1 ball, 1 and no strikes.
This is always the time of spring training where you start to think of concerns, question marks. We've mentioned a little bit with both clubs. The Red Sox, after Clemens, Frank Viola, Joe Hesketh, and then you have your hands full. You have 4 or 5 pitchers who could fill that number 4 and 5 spot, and that will certainly be a concern for Butch Hobson. Matt Young could find himself in there. Gardner, the right-hander. Kevin Morton, Tom Bolton, lefties. Dana kicker. Kevin Morton didn't help his cause yesterday. In an inning and 2/3, gave up 7 hits and 8 runs to the Blue Jays.
Little gremlins told me today: Clemens, Viola, Hesketh, Gardner, and Young. I think that sounds about right.
Sounds pretty good to me, yeah.
Will probably be the 5 starters. Reardon, of course, will be one of the finishers. Fossis, Harris. We probably are going to see a pitcher today by the name of Peter Hoy, 25-year-old right-hander. the Red Sox are very high on. He is battling for a job in the bullpen, and he's a long shot, but is a shot. He's supposed to be going third today behind Clemens, Harris, and then Hoy. 1 ball, 1 strike count on Kent. 4-1 lead for the Red Sox over Toronto. Clemens up high with a 2-1.
Of course, then in the middle part of the bullpen for the Red Sox, Greg Harris, who we'll see today. They're hoping Danny Darwin will be able to get back after surgery. Tony Fossis, a left-hander, and then get things ready for Jeff Reardon.
2-1, runner goes over the top of the dugout. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Devon White will come back to first base.
But the good news for Butch Hobson is that Frank Viola is feeling well. He had some problems with blisters, which affected his changeup last year, which is probably his best pitch. Talked to Frankie V before the game. He's healthy. He feels good. He feels excited about pitching in Fenway Park. And I think they're going to get some good mileage out of the veteran left-hander this year.
And then in the field, Tommy, they'll have probably Vaughn at first, Reed at second. Rivera will play short and Boggs at third. You got Greenwell and Burks in left and center. Plantier will get some playing time in right field. Jack Clark, Tom Brunansky right and DHing. Tony Pena behind the plate. Marzano will be the backup. He's got a bit of a shoulder problem right now, but he'll be the second catcher. Nearing will be around as a backup shortstop probably. They're about set. Not a whole lot of action is going to take place for the Red Sox. 3-2, runner going again with 1 away, and out of Boggs' reach into left field. Devon White makes the turn and will go to third as Greenwell will get it back into second base. So Kent picks up a single, and with 1 away, runners at first and second.
Dave Campbell mentioned it earlier, the problems the Red Sox have are going from first to third, but when you're on the move, you send the runner. Jeff Kent, the youngster, comes up with a base hit just out of the reach of Boggs, and easily making it to third base is Devon White. See him take a peek. It's not a straight steal. It's a run and hit. He wants to see where the ball is. Once he sees it on the ground, sees it go through into the outfield, he knows he can coast into third base.
They have caught an umbrella going up there. Dave mentioned how it was sprinkling. The clouds have gotten a bit thicker, and it is darker here at Channel Lakes Park. Fouled off outside of third base by Carter. Struck out his first time up.
We mentioned Joe Carter missing 3 games with a sore back. Saw him on the training table with some heat on that back before the game. I said, this is a rare photo. We got to get this picture, as he's played 505 straight ball games. He said if it was during the season, he would be out there.
Not one to miss unless it's an absolute necessity. Last year, 162 games, 273 average, 263 major league average. It's 0-2.
Last 6 years for Joe Carter, all he's done is average 30 home runs and 109 RBIs. Mark it down.
So you got a consummate hitter and a consummate pitcher going at one another right here. Clemens with only 1 away. 4-1 game, first and third for Toronto. Gets away. Pena. Devon White will stay at third. Down to second base goes Jeff Kent. Well, a couple in scoring position. That one set up by the wild pitch to Clemens.
Boy, that's a tough play for a catcher. Clemens with that 90-mile-an-hour fastball, let it loose, came through with a little bit too much and threw it to the backhand of Tony Pena. Now, you're not talking about backhanding it with one of those big outfield gloves or a first baseman's mitt. You'd have that catcher's mitt. Tony was able to get enough of it to keep Devon White at third. Even though Kent went on to second base, it was a good play for Pena just to knock it down.
Got enough to prevent the runner from scoring. Here's where Clemens usually gives you that big heater. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and 1 out. And Carter doesn't mind seeing some mustard seeds up there. One, 2. Got him. 2 down. 5 strikeouts for Roger Clemens.
You know, not to say that Roger Clemens isn't going to give every team trouble, but when he faces a team like the Blue Jays, especially with righties, Joe Carter, Dave Winfield when he's DHing, Kelly Gruber, Maldonado or Derek Bell, mostly right-handers except for the switch hitters at the top of the order, and this guy right here, John Olerud. So right-handers could be a problem for the Blue Jays this year.
Yep. John Olerud, who delivered the long home run off Roger Clemens at his first at bat in the second inning. Has a chance for 2 RBIs if he can pick up a base hit right here. Chopped to second base. Jody Reed. Olerud is retired. No runs, couple of hits, both singles. 2 left on in scoring position, and it's a 4-1 Red Sox lead.
ESPN's Major League Baseball is brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. And by New Scalpicin, the scalp medicine that stops scalp itch. Helps prevent flaking, too.
And ESPN's coverage of Major League Spring Training. Great to have you with us. Gary Thorne, Tommy Hutton, Dave Campbell, Channel Lakes Park, Winter Haven, the spring home of the Boston Red Sox. Full house on hand here today. And the Red Sox batting around in the second inning. Ellis Burke started it out with a home run, and he'll start it out again here in the third against Jack Morris.
You sure you didn't bring some of that weather with you?
Boy, it's all of a sudden, Tommy, it did get cool as well as dark and just a tad wet out there. We'll persevere for the moment. Burke 7 for his last 15 now. And takes the pitch down low. Red Sox will be opening up against the New York Yankees on Tuesday the 7th in New York. 1 o'clock game. They'll have Wednesday off. Then they'll play on Thursday against the Yankees. They go to Cleveland for a couple the first weekend of the season. And their opener at Fenway Park will be against Baltimore on the 13th of April. See the numbers for Morris.
A lot of pitches. We mentioned earlier that Jack would probably throw somewhere between 70 and 80 pitches today.
There's a rainmaker. Chased down by Ducey in left field.
One thing about Jack Morris over the years is a long career with the Detroit Tigers, Minnesota Twins. The Red Sox have always given him a little bit of a problem. He's .500 against Boston for his lifetime, 16-16, even though his career record is well over that .500 mark.
Tommy had mentioned what a workhorse he'd been. You see the complete games that he's put up. That's an indication of the kind of innings that you get out of Morris. And in today's world of pitching at the major league level, you're always looking to have a couple of guys on your staff who can give you those big 200+ seasons and innings pitched. And Morris is certainly one of those.
Well, it's certainly an area where the Blue Jays are solid. We talked about the Red Sox pitching. Toronto this year with Morris as their opening day pitcher. Jimmy Key, Todd Stottlemyre, David Wells, Juan Guzman.
Lantier to first. Olerud will take it to the bag. 2 down.
And there are some who feel it might not be too long before Dave Stieb is in that group. Dave had some back surgery. He's going to throw in a simulated ball game tomorrow for the Blue Jays. And people I talked to today were totally impressed after watching him throw yesterday. Just some batting practices. Had good movement on his pitches, sharp breaking slider, which he's known for. So if Steve comes back, now you have 6 solid starters.
And a great pen. So that's one of the reasons Toronto is going to be such a favorite starting the year of this kind of quality talent on the mound, both as starters and relievers. Tom Berdansky, who singled and scored, takes it outside. 2 down, and the count is 2 balls, no strikes.
They do have a few problems in some of their bullpen pitchers, but so far right now, you look at those starting pitchers, that's pretty strong.
Last season, the starters had a 3.49 earned run average for Toronto, which was first. Their bullpen 3.54, not much difference, although it ended up 7th among bullpens. Great starting rotation for them as their pitching ended up the best in the American League with an ERA of 3.50. So when you got that, Cito Gaston can sit back a little bit. Those will carry you a long way. Morris gives up his second walk of the game. This one to Berdansky with 2 down.
One of the problem areas right now for the bullpen is Tom Henke. He's had some shoulder soreness, had a cortisone shot. He's expected to start throwing a little bit. Mike Timlin has had a sore elbow, but good news, Ken Daly, who we may see today, is kind of battled the dizziness, and he's come around. He's pitched well this spring.
Vaughn takes it. By the times I saw Timlin pitch last year, I was so impressed with that arm. He can throw. 1-0 count, 2 down. Mo Vaughn delivered the RBI single in the second inning for the second of the 4 Red Sox runs. Morris is not going to have any trouble getting his pitch count up. Breaking ball. Outside corner. Vaughn looks back. Spring training, so he smiles. 1-1. One ball, one strike, two down. Runner at first, 2 balls, 1 strike.
You know, you see a couple of young hitters come up, such as a Mo Vaughn, a Phil Plantier. Plantier, I believe, will hit more home runs. He seems to have a little more lift in his stroke. Mo Vaughn has that good line drive swing, and he can play pepper off that green monster in Boston.
Fouls that one off. They've had the special help this season of Carl Yastrzemski and Ted Williams, who have been down here assisting some of the hitters as may be desired.
It's tough if you're Rick Burleson.
The new hitting instructor for the Boston Red Sox from Oakland, Rick Burleson, back now with the team he played for a number of years here in Boston. 2-2 count, 2 away. In the dirt, blocked nicely by Myers. 3-2.
Have to be heads up as a catcher with Jack Morris, and when Morris does struggle, which he's had over the last couple of innings, that fork ball will bounce in front of the plate. When you have base runners, you need to be alive. Greg Myers made a good play right there.
Saw Rick Burleson wearing number 7, doing a little coaching. Just a very light mist falling here. Runner goes in the 3-2, and we'll do it again.
About the way your forearms and biceps look.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was trying to compare those as we look at Tony Pena waiting on deck. Trouble is, those are both my right and left together for his right. Morris working with a 3-2 count and 2 outs. Berdansky will be going again, and he walked him. So 2 walks back to back here in the 3rd inning after he got the first 2 Red Sox out of there. We'll put 2 on for Tony Pena.
Always nice to see Mo Vaughn with that number 42, which he wears in honor of Jackie Robinson, having followed baseball. So many players of today don't really have a grasp on the history of the game, and I think that's sad. I think they really should.
Why do you think that is? I have a hard time. It's true, but I really don't understand why that's happened the way it has. Too much TV. They don't follow the games when you're on radio. You used to listen on radio maybe, and you had to really listen and learn who the players were and the history of the game a little bit. I don't know.
Maybe we're not telling enough of it.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder whether that's true. 1 strike count, 2 away. Berdansky at second. Vaughn at first. Tony Pena. Morris missing down low. 1-1.
You can just see the frustration in Jack Morris. A little out of whack with his delivery. One of the things he's been able to do, though, he may not throw as hard as he once used to, but he has a way of hiding his pitches. A little herky-jerky. Watch his hands, they come up, a little pause there. So as a hitter, you have to concentrate on just seeing the release point, seeing where the ball comes out of his hand. From the stretch, little peekaboo, knee comes up. But it's that dead arm time that he was talking about that's bothering him today.
Has for the whole game. 1 ball, 2 strike count on Pena. It'll stay that way. Tony has 8 hits, all of them singles on the season. Wide out to center his first time up. Solid backstop behind the plate as you get the work out of him. Base stealers last year, 81 for 121, 67% success rate for the runners against him. Put you somewhere in the middle of the pack for catchers.
You really have to watch it with Tony Pena. Butch Hobson will do this, I'm sure. He wants to play so much, but you have to take him out of the lineup every once in a while. John Marzano, who you talked about earlier, did a fine job backing up. But I think as the years go on, the next couple of years, Red Sox fans will see Marzano play a little bit more so Pena can stay strong at the end of the year.
And so Marzano can improve too, to pick his game up. Tony caught more innings than any other catcher in the American League last year. Center field. White. That'll do it. Pena out of there. A couple of walks given up to Berdansky and Vaughn, but they were stranded. Red Sox maintain the 4-1 lead.
Gary, earlier on you were talking about the fact the Blue Jays drew 4 million fans last year. One of the early executives, Peter Bavasi, the son of Buzzy Bavasi, once said, when the great scorer comes to mark against your name, it's not whether you won or lost or how many paid to see the game. And a lot of people paid in Toronto last year, 4 million plus.
Boy, are you ever right about that. It of course established all new major league marks and attendance figures, breaking that 4 million mark.
They had a game early in June against the Milwaukee Brewers, a midweek game, and it was their lowest crowd of the season in the Sky Dome, and it was somewhere over 37,000.
That's phenomenal. And there's no reason to believe they won't be able to do it again. It's chilly. There's a very light rain falling here at Chain of Lakes Park in Winter Haven. Roger Clemens going into the 4th inning now with a walk and 5 strikeouts. Some of the folks putting on their Gene Kelly look there. Mullenix flied out to left field his first time up. And Clemens is in with a strike. One of the things he, like most good pitchers, does best, get ahead of the hitters. And Clemens, that assortment of pitches, does that really well. Base hit by Mullenix. Third. We've got the 4th hit off Roger Clemens. Leadoff single here in the 4th inning. Mullenix on at first base.
With that attendance of over 4 million, the Blue Jays have the luxury of having players come off the bench. Veteran players like a Rance Mullenix, who's in his 14th year in the big leagues. Pat Tabler comes off the bench. Some of the other ball clubs who don't draw that much and generate that kind of income have to go with rookies. The Blue Jays are able to have some veterans, and you look at winning teams, and that's what you need.
Sure doesn't hurt. The season goes along and the injuries pile up and the games get tough. Myers, who lined out in a outstanding catch made by Jody Reed at second base on him in the 2nd inning, is in there now with a 1-0 count. And that one is taken down low. As we go along in these spring training games, Tommy, chance for a look at the teams on the field and also some of the old and new faces. What's here and what's gone. How about for the Blue Jays?
Well, I think that says it all. Morris and Winfield. They're old, but they're new.
Reed. There's one. Valentin, and they got 2. Myers hits into the double play. 4-6-3.
I think when you look at Dave Winfield, you don't look at someone and say, gee, he's 40 years old. You look at what he can do for the offense, and from the DH spot, which was really a sore spot for the Blue Jays last year. Only 5 home runs out of that spot, 60 RBIs. Winfield had 28 and had 86 RBIs for the Angels last year.
So they replaced some veterans with veterans. 2 down. That'll bring up Bell. Base is empty. 4-1 Boston leading. Clemens firing the gas. 0-1. Both these teams being contenders, of course, last year and sharing first place at one time or other. Not going to make a lot of changes as far as the names are concerned. Just looking to fine-tune.
One more look at what we saw earlier. Candiotti on with the Dodgers. Mookie's gone. Corey Snyder, Dave Parker, Jim Acker. Players who just didn't fit in the Toronto category this year.
So those are the ones who have come and gone for Toronto. 1 ball, 2 strike count, 2 down. First double play of the game pulled here by the Red Sox. Heading chasing that one. 6 strikeouts for Roger Clemens, who now this spring training has picked up 17. There you see the line as we go to the bottom half of the 4th inning. 4-5-1 for the Sox. Jays 1-4-0. Morris working here. John Valentin, who's batting in the number 9 spot. He'll be followed by Boggs and Reed, and he missed on the first one. Ball 1. Rain has backed off a little bit here from what was coming down. Last year at Pawtucket, he played 100 games after starting at AA ball New Britain. He hit .264 at AAA. Inside to him, 9 home runs, gathered 329 at bats, 22 doubles, 4 triples for extra base hits for him. Frio delivery taking all the way. Take a look here this half inning for you at one Roger Clemens.
Gee, Roger finally sat down.
He's finally taken a break. That's the first time between innings he hasn't gone out to work in the bullpen. For Butch Hobson, he's a new face himself and has these people joining him.
I think a quiet acquisition, Herm Winningham, will certainly help out defensively in the outfield when needed, because we talked about the defense of the Red Sox outfield. There will be times that Winningham will come into a ball game with a Red Sox lead, and he'll help them in that area.
4 walks given up by Morris now. Valentin on at first base, and Wade Boggs coming up. Viola, of course, the big name acquisition as far as going into that starting rotation is concerned for Boston. They're going to throw some lefties at the opposition at Fenway.
It's almost like a race in the winter. Was Viola going to the Blue Jays or the Red Sox? Was Morris going with the whoever got one was going to get the other?
And so there's the way it went. Morris on the mound here for the Jays today. Wade Boggs picked up an RBI in the second inning in his 1-for-2 afternoon. Red Sox have stranded 4 and 4 runs, 5 hits in the second inning off Morris when they gathered their 4-run lead after Olerud had the home run off Clemens that put Toronto up for the moment. This should be about it, I would think, for Jack Morris here. It will in large part depend on him. Wade Boggs with a 1-1 count. And the breaking ball's in, 1-2.
We talked earlier about young hitters, Mo Vaughn, Phil Plantier, the way they'll hit at Fenway. How about Wade Boggs? Last year he hit .389 at Fenway Park, hit .262 on the road. A mere mortal on the road.
The Red Sox are more than happy to use that in the negotiations for the new salary too, about whether or not Boggs really wants to leave the Red Sox. It's a little leverage for them to say you don't want to leave this park.
You know, and I think a player has to realistically look at that and say you're right. Deep down he may not say it to the Red Sox, but deep down he knows that.
2-2 delivery, runner goes. Boggs takes it outside. Myers throw, and see you later. Kent took the throw, the second baseman. Valentin is out on the attempted steal, 1 away. Nice throw by Myers.
There's another one of those stolen base attempts by the Red Sox where they're trying to get things going, but a good quick throw by Greg Myers, who shares the catching duties with Pat Borders. He got a good pitch though to come up and fire. It wasn't a pitch out, but it was up and away.
A little Olay there. Jeff Kent
in the vicinity.
In the vicinity. Boggs goes down swinging, something he did only 39 times all last year in 546 at bats.
No. Yeah, he's not used to walking back to the dugout after a strikeout.
No, he doesn't see this direction of the dugout very often. 2 down.
Wade Boggs comes from the Joe Sewell school of hitting.
Out there.
Struck out about 40 times his whole career.
Get it out there. Jody Reed, Mr. Doubles, with the 2 down, takes the 1 strike count. 42 doubles last season for him. And here's another guy. You talk about batting at the park, Fenway Park. He loves it there. As far as those doubles are concerned, last season he picked up 27 of his doubles at home and 15 on the road. He loves whacking it off the green monster and heading into second base standing up. 1 ball, 1 strike. Morris. Breaking ball is a strike. Dave Campbell's with us on the field here. David,
you're talking about those doubles. 4 of the all-time top 5 hitters in doubles per at bat in the history of Major League Baseball played for the Red Sox. Tris Speaker was number 1 once every 12.9. Jody Reed is number 5.
The others: Earl Webb, Hank Greenberg, Wade Boggs.
A lot of people think Jody Reed hits a lot of balls to the opposite field, but he really doesn't. You almost have to play him to pull. Hits a lot of doubles up the third baseline and off the green monster.
Way up high by Morris. And the count is full. 3-2. Bases are empty. 4-1 lead for Boston here in the bottom of the fourth inning. 2 down. Reed also picked up an RBI on that double he had in the second inning. 3-2. Lee. Olerud, that'll do it. So he gave up the leadoff walk, but he got away with it. As Valentin got caught on the attempted steal. Red Sox still up by 3. 64 to the Sweet 16 tonight at 7. John Saunders, Jim Valvano, and Dick Vitale. Can you take it? They'll recap the first 2 rounds NCAA tournament tonight at 7 on ESPN. Valvano, Vitale, and Saunders. Look out! There aren't enough mics for that crew. A fastball misses outside, ball 1.
It's got to be easy work for John Saunders. Doesn't have to say anything.
John, just sit there and watch. Roger Clemens going into the 5th inning has walked 1. He has struck out 6. John Olerud had the home run off him in the 2nd inning. Toronto's left 3 others on base against it. Wrapped to first by Vaughn down the line. Plantier over to get it. And it'll be a leadoff double for Ducey. That and Olerud's home run, about the hardest hit balls we've had off Clemens today.
Talking about Rob Ducey, how he's been up and down the last 4 or 5 years with the Blue Jays between Syracuse and Toronto. He always gets caught up in the old numbers game, but he's a fine defensive outfielder, not a power hitter, but you saw right there, demonstrates good ability to pull the ball, can hit the ball the other way and pick up a few doubles.
Now a scoring opportunity for Toronto. Number 9 hitter Lee up, grounded out his first time up. Switch hitter. 296 on the spring, takes the strike from Clemens.
The biggest concern about Manuel Lee is to try to get him to make more contact. He became the first player in the history of the game last year to have no home runs and strike out over 100 times.
Hard to short. Valentin makes the play. Moving over to third is Ducey. 1 away. Some good wood on that one.
Good play by Valentin. He actually got the ball quick enough where he may have had a play to third, but when you have a 4-1 lead, you just try to get the out. You don't have to worry about trying to make it close at third base. Even though Ducey was able to get a jump and make the ball be behind him, you could still see Ducey right there, just his foot in the screen as Valentin fielded the ball, but no reason to take a chance. Try to go for third. If that's a tying run or the go-ahead run, maybe it's a different story.
Yep. That's one of those where if you're going to make an error, there's a good chance you'll make it on that play. He was heading towards second. You got to kind of come back the other way and make the throw into the runner. He's got a cannon for an arm, Hobson says. That's short. We haven't seen him go into the hole, make that long throw here today. He's going to play most of the game in all likelihood. And that one blooped out towards left field. Greenwell coming on. Left to play it on the hop. RBI single for White. As Ducey crosses the plate with a second run for the Jays. White now with a couple of singles off Roger Clemens here today. 2 for 3 for the leadoff batter Devon White, and that is going to be hit number 6 off Clemens.
It's nice to watch the little things of baseball, especially in spring training. You get to third base with less than 2 out. The coach tells you line drive, fly ball, come back and tag at third. As soon as that ball was hit into the air, even though we could see it was going to drop, Rob Ducey went back, tagged up, scored easily.
Runner fakes the go. Pena. Ooh, nice play by Vaughn. That ball was headed down into the right into the right field corner. And Vaughn diving back to the bag. And Tony looks at him and smiles.
You better give him a smile. And I'll tell you what, if this ball gets by Mo Vaughn, we would have had some enjoyment in watching Devon White run.
He would have been over to third at least. Plantier, the right fielder, swung around the other way. 0-1 count, 1 out. Clemens popped up. Plantier. 2 down. White goes back to first.
You know, in watching Tony Pena make that snap throw, spring training is also a time of rumors, and one of the rumors circulating here in Florida, I guess out in Arizona too, is involving the Blue Jays and the San Diego Padre catcher Benito Santiago. Rumors they are, but names have been tossed around. Pat Borders, Candy Maldonado,
Especially
Benito
Candy
Santiago.
Maldonado, huh? Yeah, they may have some real interest in Maldonado. 2 down, 4-2 lead for Boston. Dave Campbell, what's going on down there?
I was just going to ask Tommy, Gary, because Tommy saw the Jays so much last year with guys like White, Alomar, and Carter, 1, 2, 3. Why did the Jays have so much trouble scoring runs last year?
I think a lot of it had to do, Dave, with the cleanup spot. They didn't really have a legitimate cleanup hitter. Kelly Gruber missed 50 games, even though he did hit 20 home runs. A lot of that cleanup duty was handled by John Olerud, but inexperience. I think with Winfield there this year, that's going to change.
And with Olerud putting on some thump there, we talked about the fact he put on about 15 pounds upper body strength. He may be able to deliver a few more RBIs from wherever he's hitting in the order. Clemens working on his pickoff throw over to first base. 2 down. Runner at first is Devon White. Carter with a couple of strikeouts on the card up against him here with a 1-1 count. Giving Mo Vaughn a workout over at first base too. Carter waiting at the plate. There goes White. Breaking ball fouled, stripped back, and it's 1-1.
Thing about Devon White, 33 stolen bases last year. He has such long strides. Watch the acceleration and how quickly he's stepping out. A couple of short steps, then all of a sudden the long strides. That's why he's able to steal some bases.
He gets up to full flight in a hurry, doesn't he? 1 ball, 1 strike. Runner not going to short. Valentin up with it. Got him. That'll do it. Carter 0 for 3 on the day. RBI picked up by White. That's 4-2 Boston.
ESPN's Major League Baseball is brought to you by Hershey's, the great American chocolate bar. By calcium-rich Tums. Tums helps wipe out heartburn and gives you calcium. And by ESPN Home Video, producers and distributors of the Legends of Baseball. Available at video and retail stores nationwide.
Great view for you. Channel X Park here in Winter Haven. The spring training home of the Red Sox, who are leading over the Blue Jays by a score of 4-2. Jack Morris is done for the day. 23-year-old right-hander Pat Hentgen has come on in relief, facing Mike Greenwell.
Well, 23 years of age, as you mentioned, last year Hentgen led the International League in strikeouts. He's been a starter for the most part, but if he makes the Jays, it'll be coming out of the bullpen, and he's had a pretty good spring. Has a good live fastball and a sharp breaking curveball. You know that either we're getting old or these guys are getting younger, but when you see that Pat Hentgen's baseball hero is Dwight Gooden, what does that say?
It says we're getting old.
There's the new center fielder.
Turner Ward has come in for Devon White in center field for the Jays. Good day for White, who had a 2 for 3, 2 singles, and an RBI for the Toronto leadoff batter. Greenwell with the 0 for 2.
There's that curveball we were talking about. Hentgen along with David Weathers also with an opportunity. Both of these right-handers will not make the club, but one probably will.
Greenwell takes it down low. Hentgen appeared in 3 games with Toronto after working the AAA level last season. Hentgen did get a start final game of the year against Minnesota. 5 innings, a run on 3 hits, a couple of strikeouts, and only 1 walk. Went 8 and 9 at Syracuse, starting 28 games, 1 complete. That one is a base hit. Greenwell got around on that one up in the strike zone. Leadoff single for the Red Sox here in the 5th inning.
Red Sox want to see more of that aggressive attacking style of hitting by Mike Greenwell. You mentioned earlier, Gary, you're talking about a little bit of the decline, even though he hit 300 last year. Greenwell only had 41 extra base hits, even though he picks up a single right here. He saw that off-speed pitch, he saw it up, and he jumped on it.
Really got around on that one. Little chat with Olerud down there. So Hentgen gives up a single to the first man he faces. 6 hits now for each team. And with the Red Sox leadoff man on is Burks. His home run came in the second inning, third of the spring training. Behind that one to right. Derek Bell. Ellis Burks retired, one away.
By the way, that's the greatest part about playing first base. You get to chat with everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got the coach over there. You got the umpire.
The only better place, as Yogi proved, was catching.
Yeah, I never forget playing first base one afternoon, 1973. Phillies were playing the Mets. It was Willie Mays' last year. He got on base. They flashed on the scoreboard, happy birthday. It was his birthday. I got to say happy birthday to Willie Mays.
You remember those
Always
moments,
remember that.
Absolutely. Willie Mays figures in both our lives, I guess. Tell you about mine. Plantier up. He walked and scored in the second inning, grounded out in the third.
It's spring training. It's time for Willie Mays stories.
In the Earthquake World Series, when I was working with ABC, we were prepared to go on the air. Joe Morgan and I and Willie Mays were sitting in the San Francisco dugout waiting for the pregame show. We had just stepped out on the field, about 30 seconds away from going on, didn't get him, when it struck. And I had just got Willie's autograph, standing there waiting, and the next thing I know is the earthquake.
Wow.
I won't forget meeting Willie Mays on that occasion, I'll tell you that. 0-1 count, one out. Good lead at first base for Greenwell. Continuing our coverage of Willie Mays, Dave Campbell.
I just was reminded of a great story by Bob Stevens in San Francisco, a great writer out there. One time he wrote a headline about the game-winning hit. He said the only guy who could have caught it hit it. Very succinct.
That is a great line. 1 ball, 1 strike. Getting Greenwell back to the bag.
Well, it's only fitting. I mean, here we are at Chain of Lakes Ballpark in Winter Haven. I'm sure there are a lot of people who have Ted Williams stories.
Oh, geez.
Here in this area. Carl Yastrzemski stories.
You shouldn't have said Ted Williams. It's my hero, you know.
Mine too.
My dad, JFK, and Ted Williams.
As a youngster growing up in California, went to Arizona to see the Red Sox when they were in Scottsdale just to see Ted Williams.
Strike taken. That last home run with the eyes shut was on my bedroom wall right out of the newspaper for I don't know how many years. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And I finally got to meet him a month ago for the first time ever, hosting Upper Deck Baseball Cards press conference where he attended at Madison Square Garden. 1-2 pitch. I was thrilled. I was like an 8-year-old kid again. Talked to Ted about fishing and baseball.
But you tried to act real cool.
I don't know how I didn't really care, to tell you the truth. I did not care how I acted. I was not embarrassed at all to be in the presence of my hero and to be admitting it. 2-2 pitch. Inside and with 1 away. The count is full. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
This, by the way, is where a young pitcher sometimes has a little bit of a problem. Henkin got ahead, and now he's having trouble putting Plantier away. All of a sudden, a full count.
He'll go to first to get Greenwell back.
Yeah, with the full count, 1 down, this gives Butch Hobson the option, and the way he's trying to run things this spring, he'll probably have Greenwell running.
Greenwell has been caught stealing once, the only time. He goes here. Could be a double play. See you later. No! Dropped by Lee. The slide by Greenwell took the ball out of the glove of Manuel Lee. Plantier goes down swinging. Henkin gets the strikeout, but not the strike him out, throw him out double play.
Now that has to be the error on the shortstop, because it was a perfect throw by Greg Myers, who has made some good throws. He's already nailed 1 would-be base stealer. He comes up and fires. Look where this throw is. Could have it in a better place. Lee got the glove down, had the ball, but the hard slide by Greenwell knocked it out of his glove. And there are pros and cons in sliding head first and feet first. I think one of the pros in a foot first slide, feet first, however you want to say it, is you're able to do that a little easier than if you go in head first.
I agree. 2 down, runner at second base. And Brunansky, who has singled and walked, takes the strike. Myers, we've seen Greg Myers make a couple of real good throws here. I was looking here at his numbers last year, though. Base stealers had the 3rd highest success rate against him last year. which may not be his fault. Not having seen enough of the Jays games, Tommy, maybe you know.
Well, Pat Borders has a little better throwing arm, but both have improved defensively.
Sure has put the gun down there today.
Second half of the season, Greg Myers didn't see a lot of play. Borders got hot, started to play even against right-handers.
1 ball, 1 strike, 2 down. Vernansky waiting against Pat Henkin to right field. Eric Bell perfectly positioned, and that'll do it. No runs despite a leadoff single, an error, runner left on at second base. Red Sox 4, Blue Jays 2. Mr. Clemens is through. His day is completed and a very successful outing here, and this the 5th of the spring training starts that he's going to make. There's the line for him. Nothing wrong with that. Look at the strikeouts, 6 of them. He now has 17 innings pitched and 17 strikeouts.
Temporarily he's through. He may have a little more work in store. Greg Harris, 36-year-old veteran. He's bounced around with a lot of ball clubs, but I think he's finally found a home with the Boston Red Sox. He's been with Cincinnati, Montreal, Texas, Philadelphia, but last couple of seasons with the Red Sox, he's been very valuable to their staff.
John Olerud, who delivered his first spring training home run in the 2nd inning, is 1 for 2 now. Harris working with a 4-2 lead on the departure of Clemens, misses, and it's 1-1.
The reason Harris is so valuable to any staff, he can start, he can pitch in the middle, he can even come out of the bullpen in short relief and save a game. He has a little cut fastball, a nice over-the-top curveball, changes speeds very well, and he's a good competitor.
2 ball, 1 strike count. Harris's 5th appearance, 9 innings, 9 hits, 7 strikeouts, 5 walks, and missed outside with that. Olerud's ahead on the count, 3-1.
Greg Harris said the first thing he did when he reported to spring training was ask Butch Hobson what his role would be. Hobson said, well, you'll probably be in middle relief, setting things up for Jeff Reardon.
Left field towards the gap. Greenwell going over. Will not have a play on that one. Olerud continues to pound the baseball. A home run and a double now in 3 at-bats. This a leadoff double in the 6th inning. David.
Gary, one of the things the Jays wanted Olerud to do was get a lot more aggressive this year. They felt he was very passive, looked at a lot of pitches, and Larry Heisel, the new batting coach, has really tried to get him to attack the ball, anything close to the hitting zone, instead of being so overly selective. So far today, a couple of rockets.
It's a good point, Dave, because you and I talked about that last night. Last year, the Jays hitting instructor was Gene Tennis. Gene Tennis is still with the ball club. He'll be on the bench, but he's not the hitting instructor. Gino, in his playing day, was very selective. It was hard for him to get Olerud to be more aggressive.
Olerud on at second base now. The 2 hits today. He's got 11 this spring, 3 doubles and a home run. The extra base hits for him. Little rain you see falling down upon him there at second base. 7 hits for Toronto. Rance Mullenix, one of those hits, a single in the 4th inning, has an RBI chance here. Mullenix, a couple of ribbies on the spring training season.
Thing about Mullenix last year, we mentioned it briefly. Mullenix and Tabler really shared that DH role, and they were miscast. Not that they're not good hitters, but they're more role players coming off the bench, playing occasionally in the field. With Winfield around this year, they can go back to their role, probably feel more comfortable and be more productive.
He sure can play that role. An outstanding man coming off the bench, Mullenix is, to deliver big hits. You saw the runners in scoring position numbers. Even though he had only at-bats last season, total of 240 for him. Chopped off only 50 at-bats with runners in scoring position. You got 20 hits in those chances.
Yeah, keep Tabler around just for when the bases get loaded.
The bases are loaded, yeah.
He got one the other day.
Mullenix with a 1-1 count, nobody out. Looks him back to second base. One delivery, the breaking ball, and a good one. Off-speed curveball, and Harris is ahead on the count of ball and 2 strikes. See some pretty good curveballs here by Roger Clemens and also now by Harris.
It's getting to the time of spring training where as a hitter you start to see more curveballs. Early in the spring you might see them, but they aren't good ones.
Another one. That wasn't bad either.
That one he just took a little more off. He saw two different types of curveballs, Ras Mullinex did. The one prior a little harder, that one a little slower.
The pitch. Hey, opening day is not far away. Here on ESPN, a triple header starting with this Toronto Blue Jay team taking on Detroit at 1 o'clock. San Francisco and Los Angeles will be the 4 o'clock game from LA. And then the New York Mets and the St. Louis Cardinals. They will meet at 7:30. Joe Morgan and I will be there for that New York St. Louis game. So triple header on opening day for Major League Baseball. Fouled off by Myers. Olerud at second base, 1 out.
Hey, that ball club in St. Louis, Joe Torre is going to have himself an exciting season, I think.
We were talking about that for the game, Tommy. A lot of young players, not necessarily first year, but some rookies, some in the middle, played a little last year, coming back for a full season. Others who've had a year and going to second year. Those kinds of players have got good Cardinal speed again. And looks like they should have a pretty good pitching staff. Down to third, Boggs. That one had some spin. Long throw. Vaughn. Myers retired.
Oh, I'm so glad we got an opportunity to see Wade Boggs pick one at third base. So many times he is underrated as a fielder. You go to Fenway Park, you show up at 4 o'clock, if they'll let you in the gates, then you'll see Wade Boggs out there taking ground balls every day. He's quick to get to the ball. He's able to recover and get up and get something on the throw. Get it over there in time. Never won a Gold Glove. There are times he could have.
He could have. You're absolutely right. You're right that the hitting just kind of overshadows the defensive play he makes at third base. 2 down now with a runner at second. Harris trying to get out of it. Working the bender in on Bell. Ball 1.
One last thought on that St. Louis club. If they can keep Pete Guerrero healthy in left field, and if he can handle that all right, and if Andres Galarraga can come back to the form he had a couple of years ago with Todd Zeile, that's pretty good power and production right there.
Great power and production. 1-0 pitch, strike on the outside corner. And they'll renew that rivalry that runs with St. Louis and the Mets on opening day. Mets will throw either Saberhagen or Cone in that game. 1-1 inside. I haven't heard who the Cardinals going to start. Have you heard?
No, I haven't heard yet.
I haven't either. 2 balls, 1 strike. 2 down. Derek Bell has struck out and walked. He could make this a 1-run ball game if he can get Olerud in from second base right here. Olerud with a leadoff double. Greg Harris. 3-1. Ducey scheduled up next. We dropped about 20 degrees here or what? I know that's an overstatement.
We did that about 3 innings ago. I'm starting to get used to it now.
Ooh, did it cool down? Very light rain has continued to fall here for the last 3 innings. Folks have put the windbreakers on.
I can pick my spots. Yesterday at Fort Myers, I was out in that sunshine. Look where we put Dave Campbell today.
David's got the umbrella job today. We're on the cover up here. 3-1 delivery by Harris. He's on. First walk by Harris, and there are 2 on with 2 down. Where are you on opening day?
I'm in Detroit, but not on our telecast.
You're doing the.
I'll be doing a Toronto Blue Jays telecast against the Detroit Tigers.
There he is. There's
Thanks,
David.
guys.
Hey, Dave.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Hutton, I saw you yesterday sitting down working on your tan. I'm working on keeping the raindrops off my head.
Tough it out. Get that umbrella out of there.
If you can dance, we got a movie remake we're thinking of you for. 2 down and 2 on. And here's Ducey, who delivered the double and scored in the 5th. RBIs picked up by White, who drove Ducey in that 5th inning, and the home run by Olerud in the 2nd, accounting for the 2 runs on the board for the Toronto Blue Jays. Harris with a 1-0 pitch. Fouled off. 1-1. Toronto Blue Jays finished 7th in hitting last year at 257 in the league with that #1 pitching staff number. Their fielding was down a bit, but didn't seem to cost them ball games last year, even though there were some errors made in the field. They never seemed to be the kind of errors that cost them games.
Yeah, it was a very deceptive number if you look at the fielding percentage of the Blue Jays.
Ended up 12th in the league, which you think you'd pay for after a while, but they didn't.
If you saw them play 3 or 4 games a year, you'd say they have a fine defensive club. If you saw them play a lot of games, you'd say, yeah, they make the plays. There were just times they'd make errors in games that didn't count, or errors that didn't really hurt them a lot. But defensively, they are sound.
2 Gold Gloves.
Oh,
Roberto Alomar at second base and Devon White in center field.
The best at that position, second base, Roberto Alomar, that I've seen.
1 ball, 2 strike count with 2 away and 2 on, and the breaking ball waffles in down low. 2-2. New ballpark to be added to Major League Baseball this season, Camden Yards. Haven't seen it completed, saw it when it was almost done. What a beautiful facility in Baltimore. Right downtown, fouled off 2-2.
And I know you referred to it as Camden Yards. I probably will too, even though the official name is Orioles Park at Camden Yards. I kind of think they waffled on that one and should have stuck just with Camden Yards.
They had a couple of groups apparently arguing about what the name should be, so they put them both together. But I think Camden Yards will end up being the name. It has such a nice baseball ring to it. Big old warehouse that's been renovated for office space outside the outfield wall, which someone's going to bust some windows in this year. 2-2, swung on and hit the right center field. Burks, nobody's going to get it. Plantier and Burks couldn't touch it. O'Rood has score, making the turn. Bell coming to the plate and on his way to third with a triple. Ducey, 2 RBIs, 4-4 game.
Well, again, Rob Ducey is going to make it difficult for the Blue Jays to keep him or send him down. He went down after that breaking ball, got it just out of the reach, and this is one of the problems that the Red Sox will see. Not a lot of speed in the outfield. Plantier in right field couldn't get to it. Burks wasn't able to get to it, and because it got by both of them, Ducey with his speed was able to make it over to third base with the triple.
Big 2-out hit right there, and they've tied the game up. So for Ducey now, 8 hits this spring, 3 doubles, 2 triples, and a home run. Dave?
Gary, I was talking to Johnny Pesky, longtime coach advisor with the Red Sox, and he said one of the reasons Ellis Burks has been hurt so much the last few years is he always runs into Mike Greenwell in the outfield. You could see Burks shy away just a little bit. Ellis trying to keep himself healthy this year.
Was going the other way to hit Plantier that time, and that's like running into a tank.
Yeah, you're talking about some solid guys, or a Brunansky if he's out there.
Young man gets a hand. He comes out, cleans off home plate. Hey, haircut. 1-1 pitch. Good off speed screwball that time, going the other way. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 down, runner at third. 4-4 game. Lee with the 2 ground ball outs. Chance to give Toronto a lead in this game for the second time. They led 1-0. Good stop in the backhand by Tony Pena. Greg Harris 2-2. To do it again. And he came into the seats, came right back out. Drew from the dugout.
Well, we've all learned over the last few days with that incident in Arizona with Matt Keogh that you have to be heads up, not only in the dugout, but especially in some of these cozier spring training ballparks, the fans up the third base and first base lines. But it's nice to know that Matt Keogh is doing much better.
Very happy to hear his condition upgraded. The strikeout taken by Harris. He's got a couple, but a couple of runs in here tied this game up 4-4. Well, all tied up 4-4. Pat Henkin, first pitch to Vaughn, to left. Ducey, he's got it, and there's 1 away here in the 6th inning. Here's a man the Red Sox have seen before. Don Zimmer is back. He'll be coaching third base this season. In 1976, he replaced Darrell Johnson as the Red Sox manager. Had some great years, 3 straight years of 90-plus wins. Then listen to the movements. He managed Texas, Cubs, coached for the Yankees, Cubs, and San Francisco. And now Butch Hobson has brought him back to Fenway Park. Don Zimmer will be at third base. He was out signing autographs for lots of Red Sox fans before today's game. A real baseball man right there.
Well, he may have moved around a lot in that area. He was telling me today he lives over in the St. Petersburg area, and he's been in the same house for over 30 years. So he's been stable in the offseason.
Stable where it matters. There is a home. Tony Pena flied out to center field twice. 4-4 ball game. Jack Morris, Roger Clemens, both gone. And now at third base, Domingo Garcia has come on play with Mullenix out of there. Just go ahead. I made a mistake.
Martinez.
There we go. I had it right in my scorebook and looked at the wrong name on the card. And the breaking ball misses to Tony Pena. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
People forget it's spring training for us too.
That's right. 1-2, 1 away. And missing up high with it. 2 balls and 2 strikes. A lot of pitches thrown. Morris 4 innings, 4 runs, 5 hits. He walked 4, struck out 2, and gave up the home run to Ellis Burks. And we showed you the numbers on Roger Clemens, who also gave up a home run to Olerud in the 5 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits, a walk, and 6 strikeouts. A little cooler, a little more plastic out there covering the bodies. It really isn't raining any harder. The wind seems to be blowing a little brisker pace right now from left to right. Tony Pena with a 3-2, and he is on.
You know, the interesting thing about Domingo Martinez at third base is that he's primarily a first baseman. Played 125 games at first base at Syracuse last year. But you know, you get in an organization with John Olerud, who's going to be a fixture over there for Toronto at just 24 years of age. All of a sudden you start experimenting with different gloves. He's a good fielder at first, and he shouldn't have too much trouble adjusting over the other side of the diamond.
Trying to find work is what you want to do. John Valentin up now, the Red Sox shortstop, and he's trying to move him up. Great bunt. No play. Infield hit. Valentin, who's walked, popped out, picks up the bunt single, and a beauty laid on the grass, which is wet enough so once he got it down, it wasn't going to roll. 2 on, 1 out.
Yeah, a smart play by Pat Henkin to just get to it and give a little fake because he knew he had no chance. Seen some good instincts by the youngster John Valentin. Saw it on a play, a ground ball that he didn't go to third. Remember, he went to first and got the out with a 4-1 lead at that time. Here he just tries to keep the inning alive. A tie ball game. He's hitting 9th. He wants to get the top of the order up there, so he drops down a nice bunt.
See why Butch Hobson likes him so much. Here's Wade Boggs now, and you saw the rain's coming down a little harder, and the wind is now whipping around. Boggs picked up the single, an RBI single in the 2nd inning when the Red Sox got all of their runs. 4 runs on 5 hits off Morris in that 1 inning. The Maple Leaf and the Stars and Stripes out there down the left field line. Pickoff move, no coverage at second base. Lee was bluffing him back. Butch Hobson, who worked his way up through the minor leagues. Yankees, Red Sox, coaching, managing, minor league level. Taken down low, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Funny, Butch Hobson replaced Rico Petrocelli as the third baseman for the Red Sox when he came up. It's funny how things come around, and Rico Petrocelli is replacing Butch Hobson in Pawtucket this year as the manager.
1 ball, 1 strike on Boggs. We wish Rico Petrocelli well at Pawtucket. Great organization, AAA level.
A couple of right-handed hitters, third baseman, who took advantage of the Green Monster of Fenway Park. Hobson and Petrocelli.
Both of them. 1-1, 1 out, 4-4 game with a runner on at second base. Boggs takes it away. Talking about that, Tom, I was looking at the Red Sox coaching staffs at the minor league level. They've got some where are they now names. Jim Pankovitz is going to be at New Britain, who was down in Houston. They have Frank White, who's going to be in the Gulf Coast League now as a manager. Boggs off the handle, got a lot of that to right center field. Ward and Bell will give chase. Pena's going to score. Valentin's coming around to score. Boggs makes the turn at second. He'll go into third with a stand-up triple and 2 RBIs.
You know, we talked about Boggs, whether he hits first or third, but this is why he can really mess up a defense. You shade him to left center, but occasionally he'll get a pitch he can pull and he'll turn on it. That 31-ounce bat that he's using now may help him do that a little bit more. Little trouble with it. Turner Ward in center field, but regardless of the problems he had, 2 runs came in to score. So Boggs, I believe, if he hits in that number 3rd spot, will be productive and drive in some runs.
Boy, he's showing it today. That's 3 RBIs today for Wade Boggs. He now has 6 on the spring. And it is a 6-4 Red Sox lead. Dave?
You know, Wade Boggs told me last year he got a batting tip from his teammate Mike Greenwell. He said they were talking while they were fishing one day, and Greenwell said, you know, you used to hit the top half of the ball. Now you're hitting the bottom half. And all of a sudden Wade said it clicked in. That was the reason I was hitting so many fly ball outs. He had never been known as a fly ball hitter, so he's back to hitting the top half of the baseball again, thanks to Greenwell.
That gives you the line drives. Jody Reed pops it up right at first base. Olerud makes the catch, they say, in fair territory. So Reed is retired. And there are 2 down with Wade Boggs still at third base. Boggs hit only 19% of balls to the outfield to right field last year. So used to going the other way, especially at home. So as Tommy says, when he does put one the other way, there's nobody around. You just don't play him that way. Mike Greenwell now singled in the 5th inning, is hit 1 for 3. Here comes Boggs. It's a 7-4 Red Sox lead.
One of the perils of a big curveball is that wild pitch with a runner at third base. You also have some poor conditions. Can't blame it all on the young pitcher, but he tries to snap off that good curveball. The effort was made by Greg Myers, but the ball just slipped away from him and allowed Boggs to score. You know, I think if Boggs does hit third, he is going to have to sacrifice a little average.
Checking my
Okay, he may only hit 310, but he's going to have RBIs. And what I mean by that, instead of just trying to ping that ball the other way, he's going to have to take that time and that opportunity to maybe pull the ball when there's some runners in scoring position and try to get that extra base hit.
How many RBIs? He had 51 last year. How many RBIs will Wade Boggs get this year? Batting third, assuming he bats third.
80 or more.
I would say about 85. So there.
You've heard it right here.
Mike Greenwell. Bases are now empty. 2-0 count on Greenwell.
The problem with that is, though, if you're Butch Hobson, you look at his on-base percentage, who else are you going to lead off?
Yep, that has been the question mark in Boston for low these years with Wade Boggs here over 10 seasons. Who do you put in that leadoff spot? And there hasn't been a ready answer for Boston on many occasions. 2-ball, 1-strike count, 2 down. Pat Hentgen, second pitcher, getting roughed up here in the 6th inning. The Red Sox putting the go-ahead runs, 3 of them up on the board here in the bottom half of the 6th.
We get so used to major league stadiums and the major league lighting.
It's dark.
Is it dark?
Well put. Here's the 2-2 pitch. It is dark. Obviously they have the lights here, but light standards not nearly the same for the minor league level as they are at the major league level. So when it gets dark as it is right now and raining a little bit, it's tough to see the baseball. 3-2. Red Sox will be moving. Fort Myers is going to be their new spring home. after all these years at Winter Haven. New ballpark. Ground has been broken for the construction of a new facility for Boston.
Tell you what, you see some of the new facilities as Dave and I did yesterday at Fort Myers, and you can see why some of these ball clubs want to change.
Right center field, playable for Turner Ward. He puts it away. Greenwell is retired, but the Red Sox will pick it up. A couple of RBIs for Boggs, and then Boggs scored on the wild pitch. 7-4 Boston. Back here at Channel Lakes Park in Winter Haven, the home Red Sox after 6, 7-8-1. The Jays 4-8-1. Clemens and Morris were the starters. Going to the 7th under cloudy skies with some rain coming down, and Tim Naring, the starting shortstop last year for the Boston Red Sox, has now moved in to play second base for Jody Reed.
Well, a tough year for Naring last season. He did start as their starting shortstop, but had back problems. Plus, he got off to a very slow start. He was just 6 for 47. He's happy to be back and feeling healthy. One of his assets is that he can play a little second base. So he's at second now. Valentin at short, but more than likely Luis Rivera will be the starting shortstop when things get underway for the Red Sox against the Yankees on April 7th.
And Naring will be the backup infielder at both second and short. Greg Harris will work against Turner Ward. This is the first opportunity for Ward at the plate as he came on for Devon White, who had a couple of hits, 2 singles and an RBI in his opportunities. Right back to the mound, played by Harris, and Ward is retired, 1 away here in the 7th. Kent and Carter are due up.
Greg Harris, a good fielder, and I don't know, maybe he has an advantage because of the type of glove he wears. We've talked about it before. He is ambidextrous, and one of the things he'd like to do before his career is over is throw left-handed. He can very well. He almost did it one year when he was with Texas, but that glove can fit on either hand.
Isn't that amazing? Breaking ball, misses down low for a ball. It's quite the glove. Some folks would say amphibious. Here today, breaking ball outside.
Might have to be.
That's right. Before it's done, he'll either be ambidextrous and amphibious. Kent picked up his single in the 3rd inning. Struck out in the 1st and flied out to right his last time up. High strike.
We mentioned it earlier. You talk about a youngster like Jeff Kent. Guys like Joe Carter, Devon White, they know what they're going to do in the spring. And here's a young man getting an opportunity to show Cito Gaston what he can do. And I guarantee he'll remember the base hit he got off Roger Clemens for quite a while. He'll be talking about that all year if he has to go back to the minor leagues.
Tommy, when we were talking about that, reputations are built this time of year between the young players and the organization that you're playing for. Yes.
Which is always, yes, exactly, which is always amazed me when I see a young player in spring training not hustling.
Not a reputation you want. Right at the mound, Wade Boggs on the mound. Watch out for those. 2 down here in the 7th inning. Coming up next here on ESPN, the LPGA Standard Register Ping Tournament from Phoenix, Arizona. The final round, $550,000 purse, and there is the leaderboard. The winner is going to take home over $82,000 in that, and we will be picking up the coverage on the final round right here on ESPN as soon as our spring training game here in Winter Haven is done. Bases are empty, 2 down and nobody on, and Carter with the 0 for 3. He's staying in the game because, as we mentioned, he'd been out with the back spasms here, so he's getting some at-bats later in this game than he might otherwise play. Naring, the second baseman. That's it. So Greg Harris retires the side in orders. Stand up and stretch it. 7th inning stretch time, 7-4 Boston. Pittsburgh to the New York Mets. 302 last year, 18 home runs and 100 RBIs last season with Pittsburgh. Off to spring training numbers at 257, 3 doubles. You will see him Tuesday as the Dodgers take on the New York Mets right here on ESPN. at 7:30. That's Tuesday night, Dodgers and Mets from Port St. Lucie. Well, the crew's out. We've had enough rain, so the drying agent has been brought out now as we go to the bottom half of the 7th inning. Nobody wants injuries here, so they're not going to take any chances.
Yeah, in spring training, they'll try to let it go as far as they can. But as you said, you don't want to take chances here. During the season, you'll probably see a game last a little longer. They'll take a little longer in between. But if they think it's dangerous, the last thing you want is a young pitcher, any player for that fact, to get injured on the field. So they're going to make sure with a little of that turfus or drying agent or whatever you want to call it, they'll add that to the dirt area. And you know, it's not the only field that's been having problems. We've read the last couple of days about the problems they've had at Joe Robbie Stadium with some of the games being played there. The Blue Jays play the Orioles there next weekend, and they'll try to get some bullpen mounds fixed up and try to get the infield in shape for that.
Boy, that they said the other day at Joe Robbie, they almost didn't play. They almost refused to go out and play. The conditions were so bad. That's not a nice sign, trying to get baseball into that big stadium down there. Randy Knorr has come on to do the catching as Meyer is out of there for Toronto.
Well, we mentioned Pat Borders and Greg Myers sharing the duties last year. Randy Knorr trying to sneak in, played at Syracuse last year, but well, maybe he's looking at that possible rumor with Benito Santiago and Borders going to San Diego. Who knows? They're just rumors.
That's the key word.
You know why they're rumors is because we ran into Peter Gammons today.
That's right. Why. That's why they're rumors. Here's Ellis Burks. Peter will be and has been providing us coverage of spring training for you on ESPN, and will continue to do so baseball-wise all season long. Pat Hentgen came on for Morris, who worked 4 innings. So here in the bottom of the 7th, trying to keep the hands dry as he works to Burks, Plantier, and Brunansky scheduled. Misses down low with it. 2 balls and 1 strike. Ellis Burks with a home run, his 3rd in the 2nd inning, and a couple of fly ball ups to go along with that. Randy Knorr has laid the sign down and went after the high fastball, center field. Ward puts it away. Burks is retired. 1 out.
Hitting it to his counterpart in center. Talked about it before with Ellis Burks. If he stays healthy, which in 1990 he was, and in 1990 he put up 21 home runs, 89 RBIs. And that's really all they need, because they know he has the talent and the ability to do that.
It's a very long season for him last year. Squabbling picked up at time to time, and the trade rumors kept flying on Burks, and he didn't feel good, and just kind of went that way all year long for him. Phil Plantier with 1 down and the bases empty. That was in on the called strike, and quickly it's 0-2 on Plantier. .331 with 148 at bats, 11 home runs, 35 RBIs with the Red Sox. 0-2 delivery to him. Misses. 1-2.
Yeah, one thing about Plantier, when he came on the scene, he let the Red Sox know that he can hit some home runs with a pretty good ratio. Here's a look at the home run leaders for the Red Sox last year. But only 148 at bats, as you said, 11 dingers.
Grounds that one to Olerud at first base. He'll make the play himself, and there are 2 away. Plantier out.
You know, an interesting statistic on the Boston Red Sox, though. We've talked about their ability to hit doubles, their ability to hit for a pretty good average as a team, but over the last 5 years, they've never ranked above 5th in the home run department, the American League East.
And Fenway, always noted, of course, by most baseball fans as a general statement about home runs over the wall. But it's one of those general statements that just isn't true. It is not that great a home run hitting ballpark, Fenway Park. It's the extra base hits, the doubles, that the Red Sox have always gotten there. Tom Brunansky with 2 down, and a 1-0 count on Bruno. Singled, scored in the 2nd, walked and flied out.
Well, you get big guys like Brunansky or Jack Clark when he's in the lineup hitting rockets. If you don't get altitude, that rocket off the left field wall turns into a long single, long hard single.
Yep. And there's always been that thing about right-handed hitters trying too hard to get to the wall and ended up messing up their swings. Towering pop-up. Olerud again, looking up into the rain, puts it away. A 1-2-3 inning delivered right there by Hentgen. It remains 7-4 Boston.
ESPN's Major League Baseball has been brought to you by Bud Dry. Dry brewed so it drinks light, yet satisfies completely. By Midas. For mufflers, brakes, and shocks, nobody beats Midas. Nobody. And by Diamond Crystal Water Softener Salts.
Durwood Merrill checking around on the field here between innings to make sure it's still playable. You see the line here as we go to the 8th inning. Gary Thorne, Tommy Hutton, Dave Campbell, and yes, we let Dave come in out of the rain. Moved up here under the shelter of the booth. Probably enjoying a hot dog behind us here somewhere. John Olerud. He's gone the distance. A home run, a double, an RBI, 2 runs scored. Complete day for Olerud to short. Nice scoop. Valentin makes the play. He's smooth. Olerud out, 1 away.
You know, it's hard not to get excited when you see a young player and he has a good solid baseball game, because if you've been around this game long enough, you know it takes more than just one game, but you can be impressed when you see a young player. Valentin has had a good ball game.
Valentin's been very solid. A couple of changes in the outfield. Herm Winningham has moved into left field for Mike Greenwell, and Wayne Housey has taken over for Burks in center for the Red Sox. Big swing, Martinez.
Oddly enough, a couple of guys who won't be in the starting lineup for the Red Sox. Housey may stay with the ball club. Winningham will, but they do add some speed.
There's Domingo Martinez. First at bat for it. Came on from Mullenix. That's all right if you can get that speed off the bench, Tommy. If you're not going to have in the starting lineup, but you got all that thump and power and doubles, let it be. And if you need some help late in the ball game, get the base runners like Winningham and Housey around maybe.
Base runners, a little defense.
Yep. Red Sox leading by a score of 7-4. If you joined us late, Clemens went 5, 2 runs, 6 hits, walked 1, and struck out 6 rather. Boggs bounced right over his arm, and it's fair ball. Let's see what they call that.
Well, we talked about Wade Boggs, how he has been improved third baseman every year, but this, just credit this to the field conditions. He circles it to get a good angle. I think he thought the ball was going to go foul, and the ball stayed fair, hitting some rocks down in front of third base. Kind of fooled him a little bit, then came up on him.
It is an error charge to Wade Boggs. Now Randy Knorr will get his first at bat, the catcher, against Greg Harris. Came on for Clemens in the 6th inning. AAA for Knorr last year. Those are the numbers put up by the Toronto catcher. And runner at first base, 1 out, takes the strike. Knorr has had 10 at-bats and has picked up 3 hits, including a home run and a couple of RBIs and a triple. Inside, 1-1.
The other thing you can do as a young player in spring training, by impressing your ball club, if you have a good spring and if you've done everything correctly, sometime during the year, if somebody goes down with an injury, the club now won't go outside the organization. They'll say, hey, remember Randy Knorr, or remember this guy, remember him? He did a good job in spring. I think he can help us right now.
And you play, when you get sent down, you play hard there, and you end up impressing people who maybe like Butch Hobson end up being your major league manager someday, and they kind of bring you along if you've done the job for them. 1-2 delivery, fouled off again.
Or to carry that even further, you impress one of the many scouts that we see, especially with the 2 expansion teams. I saw Larry Bernarth here today. He was with the Colorado Rockies. The Florida Marlins have had scouts all over Florida and Arizona. That expansion draft's coming up too.
A lot of players looking at that. Those players who haven't done a lot of ABs last couple of years. 1-2 delivery, breaking ball away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Those rosters have got to be filled. And the Colorado Rockies got to be selling some T-shirts and hats. I have seen a ton of those things around already. Everywhere I go. It's a logo that folks are buying into literally early on. First base, Martinez. Two balls, two strikes, and one out. Got that one to left field. Winningham. Two down. Knorr retired on the fly ball.
That's a case of a ball hit to left field where, oddly enough, that's probably off the wall in Boston. This shows you how much the game has changed when you play it there.
I was just looking. We were talking about the home runs in Fenway, Tommy. Over the last 5 years, the Elias Sports Bureau, in their analysis of the effect of each ballpark on hitters, not only for all the teams that play there, the home team and everybody else, Fenway's about even in home runs, a little on the negative side compared to other ballparks. It is not the big positive home run ballpark.
Tell you another one that's not the big one that people think is Wrigley Field.
Yep. Those are probably the two parks in Major League Baseball that people would be most surprised to hear they are not really home run hitter ballparks. Breaking ball misses inside. 1-1.
Now, we may have a little argument talking with some pitchers about that.
Yeah. But only those who give up home runs there. Of course, at Wrigley, it's that wind. Oh, man. Especially early and late in the season. The wind blowing in off the lake at Wrigley will drive 500-foot balls in behind second base. Deep to center. Housey back near the warning track. Whoop. Hauls it in. No runs, no hits, an error. Base runner left on. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Sox up 7-4. Mo Vaughn. At the bottom of the 8th inning, leading it off for the Red Sox. RBI single and scored to run himself in the second inning. Has walked and flied out. 7-4 lead. Boston on top. We're in the bottom half of the 8th, and Dave Weathers is on the mound now for the Blue Jays.
David Weathers, just 22 years of age, came up last year. Even though his earned run average in the 15 games he was with the Blue Jays, near 5, it doesn't really reflect the job he did. Came up in some crucial ball games and got some big outs for Cito Gaston.
Weathers, working in his 5th game, has worked 7 innings this spring. Has given up 5 hits in those innings, couple of runs, 3 walks.
And as I had mentioned before, Weathers battling with Henkin for that spot in the middle relief corps with the Blue Jays out of Lawrenceburg, Tennessee.
1-1 delivery to Vaughn is foul back. 1-2. Weathers' previous 4 outings, 3 of them have been for 2 innings worth of work. He hasn't given up more than a run and no more than 2 hits. Those have been impressive performances, and only 2 walks in those previous 4 outings.
Yeah, the difference between Weathers and Henkin more of a fastball curveball type pitcher. Weathers, good sinker and slider. So you get the ground ball outs with Weathers there.
2-2 delivery. Vaughn rips it into right field. Bell trying to short hop it, can't. Almost had to play at first base. So Vaughn is on with his second hit, 2 for 3 in the walk. And the Red Sox continue to pile them up. They've got 9 hits now off the combination of Morris, Henkin, and Weathers.
Saw that smile on Derek Bell. That's exactly what he was thinking about, a play at first base.
It was hit so hard. If Olerud had gone back, he might have had a chance to make the play.
Watch him come up. His first thought, hey, first base. He's ready to throw right there, but he looked up, and John Olerud didn't react and didn't get to the bag.
Tony Pena on the swinging strike. Walked and scored his last time up. Pat Henkin worked 3 innings, 3 runs, earned 3 hits, a walk and a strikeout, and 1 wild pitch. Morris went 4 runs, 5 hits, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts. Had 2 home runs in this game. John Olerud, solo shot for Toronto. And the homer by Burks, a solo shot in the second inning.
That was a little earlier in the ball game when it wasn't quite as cool and the rain wasn't coming down as hard. You're going to have to crush one to get it out of here now.
Between the wind, the rain, and the other things. There's a Cowsills song. Wasn't that the name of that group? 2 strike count. I'm really going to date myself. We were talking about,
yeah.
talking about the Cowsills. 0-2 delivery, and Tony Pena just fights it off the screen behind home plate.
One thing that the Blue Jays liked about David Weathers when he came up last year, a lot of times when you have a young pitcher come up, and especially in crucial situations, they'll have a tendency to not go right after hitters, not challenge them. Didn't bother him. He challenged everybody. Got some big outs.
Misses outside. A ball and 2 strikes on Pena. It hasn't been exactly the kind of Florida day we hoped we'd be able to show you, but the game's been okay. Fans have moved out of those seats. You see all the empty seats there with the rain coming down. They're standing up underneath the covers. Still a full ballpark. Look out. Right by 53 on his back. Slipping, going to second is Vaughn. He'll go to third, and he will make it. He slipped coming around the bag at second base. Tony Pena gets the hit. 2 on, nobody out.
We've seen a couple of BBs right up the middle. Saw one just go over the head of Jack Morris. Slider right past David Weathers, and here's that example of the Red Sox trying to take it from first to third, even though Mo Vaughn slipped a little bit. The throw not in time by Turner Ward, so good hustle by Mo Vaughn to get to third base.
And there's Tony Pena. Just picked up his first hit of the day.
You know, it's amazing. You look back at Tony Pena's career. He was a 300 hitter one season. 151 games with the Pirates in '83 at 301.
Numbers have fallen off for Tony offensively, but part of that has to be because of the extreme number of games that he plays as a catcher, which will wear on you as the season goes along. You see the numbers. John Valentin today has gone the distance at shortstop. His single came in the 6th, and he scored. The other time he reached the walk in the 4th inning. He now has an RBI chance here with 2 on and nobody out. And then misses 1-1. Lots of fans from New England down to see the Boston Red Sox. They draw just about pack it in for every game here. Breaking ball. That one misses on the inside corner. Two-one delivery to him, and that's going to be a base hit into left field. That will score. Mo Vaughn. Ducey will get it back in, and the Red Sox have their 8th run and their 11th hit. And John Valentin has put on a show here today. Well in the field, been on base 3 times, 2 hits, run scored, and an RBI.
How many times in spring training do you show up in a camp and you talk to some players, coaches, the manager maybe, and you hear about a young player and he plays in the game and nothing happens? Well, we heard about Valentin before this game, and he's made it happen.
Sparkled here today. Wade Boggs has gone the distance in this game at third base. Had the triple and 2 RBIs his last time up. 8-4 lead now. Boggs up with runners at first and second. Pena, Valentin are the base runners.
See Boggs tapping his helmet. He wanted Joe Brinkman at second base to move over a little bit and get out of his view line, not distract him trying to watch the release of Weathers.
Strike at the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike on Boggs.
Umpires have to move around a little bit in spring training. Normally 4 umpires work a game. In the spring 3 umps, so Brinkman had to move from third over to second with base runners out there.
Seen Durwood Merrill have to hustle down to third base. The home plate umpire going down to cover runners coming in at third when the other umpire's gone to the outfield.
I want to see that too.
Yeah. Durwood doesn't though. Chugging down the line. Great personality, Durwood Merrill. 1-2 delivery, and the strike on the outside corner. We'll mark that down. That's twice today. Wade Boggs has gone down the K route.
You also don't see Boggs take many called third strikes. Let's see if he had a legitimate beef. Maybe, but a pretty good pitch. One that have to try to make some contact and foul it off. Good pitch by Weathers, though. Look at Boggs' expression.
It's raining. It's cold. It's the 8th inning. And whoops. It still doesn't matter. He wanted the at bat. Red Sox are leading here 8-4. And that one by Nearing in his first at bat's going to fall in. Not played well by Bell. It'll score 1 run as Pena crosses the plate. Valentin makes the turn. He's going to score. The throw to third base. They got a chance. He's in with a triple. Tim Nearing, first pitch thrown to him in his first at bat. 2 RBIs. 10-4 Boston.
Well, we said Luis Rivera. It might be Tim Nearing at third base. He's hit over 360 in the spring. You mentioned Derek Bell not playing that well. He didn't surround it. He tried to cut it off, and he didn't get to it. If you don't think you can get to it, you have to try to cut the ball off and hold Nearing at least to 2 bases, maybe even to a single if you can cut it off.
So Nearing is on the 12th hit for Boston. Didn't take long for him to get into the offensive flow. 2 doubles, a triple, and 13 hits for Nearing and 8 runs batted in. Ellis Burks leads the Red Sox this spring in RBIs. He has picked up 10, but Nearing not very far behind. So the youngster Dave Weathers hit up here in the 8th inning by Boston. This will be the toughest outing, as we said, that he's had thus far this spring. Herm Whittingham. This will be his first at bat. He came in for Greenwell, who picked up a single in 4 at bats. And he's going to have a base hit and an RBI. Nearing scores. And Whittingham is on at first base. So the Red Sox pile him up. 11 runs on 13 hits.
Tell you, when Herm Whittingham concentrates, works on not trying to hit home runs and pull everything, and hits the ball the way he did right there, he's a much better hitter.
He's now had 32 at bats this spring with 6 hits and 2 RBIs. And Wayne Housey will try and continue the flow here for Boston. His first at bat. Housey with 24 at bats, 4 hits, no RBIs. Up high for a ball. Four runs in for the Red Sox here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Red Sox are 8-9 on the spring. Toronto 9-9. One-two delivery to Housey off the fist. Martinez. And that will take care of Housey. 2 down. And Phil Plantier will be coming to the plate for the 5th time. Has drawn a walk 0 for 3 officially. He scored in the 2nd inning. Red Sox have had big innings. 4 runs, 5 hits off Morris in the 2nd. 6th inning, 3 runs on 2 hits, and now they've added 4 more runs on 5 hits here in the 8th.
You know, Gary, even though the Blue Jays finished 7 games ahead of the Red Sox on the season beat the Blue Jays 9 out of 13. And I think it's one of the things Toronto needs to establish this year is that they can go head-to-head with the Red Sox and beat them. They didn't do it last year.
Clemens has a 3-0 record, had a 3-0 record against them last year, and starts against the Blue Jays.
Well, lifetime Clemens 12-4 against the Blue Jays.
Ryder leaning down there on the bench. 2-1, 2-0 pitch. Misses. 3 balls and no strikes to Plantier.
So we talked about Joe Carter nursing that sore back with some back spasm. Not the kind of day that's going to help a sore back.
Not at all. Not a damp, wet, cold day here. We'll tighten those muscles up. 3 balls and 1 strike. 23-year-old Phil Plantier. 2 down and a runner at first base, and he fouls it off to stay alive. Cito Gaston didn't like these days last year either with that bad back that he had that bothered him all season. It got so bad before Cito finally had it taken care of. I mean, he couldn't sit in the dugout. In fact, he couldn't sit or stand for more than about 30 seconds each. 3-2 delivery with the runner going and Plantier's gone. So Weathers gets the strikeout to end the inning, but the Red Sox will add 4 more to their totals and lead 11-4. Our storyline here at the Red Sox spring home has been a Red Sox offense. 11-13-2 for them. Clemens, the starter. He's got a strikeout per inning now this spring as he picked up 6 more. Jack Morris had to tough it out today. Tommy talked about the dead arm syndrome that hit him today. Boggs, the 2 for 5. The single, the double, and 3 RBIs as part of that Red Sox offense. And we got a new pitcher, Tommy.
Yeah, big right-hander. Actually, he's a Canadian pitching for the Boston Red Sox. Peter Hoy out of Ontario, Canada. And he will go against another Canadian, Rob Ducey. But Hoy has been a relief pitcher. This is the time where now you see minor league pitchers who actually sign as relief pitchers. They kind of categorize them in a Bob Stanley mold.
Yeah, that's right.
Sinker, slider. Maybe not quite as hard as Stanley.
Rob Ducey leading it off. Triple, double, couple of RBIs and a run scored for Ducey, so he's done his part offensively today. Peter Hoy's a long shot if the Red Sox should go with 11 pitchers, according to the Red Sox personnel. Fouled off, and he's got the count at 1-1. He was the top reliever at Double-A ball last year, where he spent most of the time in New Britain. He appeared in 47 games, 15 saves. He'll get a lot of ground balls. The strikeouts, he had just 39 strikeouts in 68 innings, then was moved up to Triple-A for another 15 games. And the 1-1, 1-2.
Probably pitched in some weather like this in New Britain. Probably pitched in some weather like this growing up outside Toronto.
He attended Lemoyne College in Syracuse, where he pitched some college ball, and then in '88 was on the Canadian Olympic team. 1 ball, 2 strike count on Ducey. Red Sox 11-4, trying to put it away with 3 more outs. Greg Harris, 3 innings, 2 runs, 2 hits, a walk, and 2 strikeouts for Harris. Fouled off, and Hoy tripped, slipped, trying to get off the mound. He made a move, and foot went right out from under him.
Yeah, the hardest part for a pitcher when the mound gets soggy the way it is to keep the dirt out of the spikes, because if the spikes clog up, now you really can't plant yourself. It's difficult. You can see right there looking at Hoy's spikes. It's difficult to plant that front foot and keep any balance.
That's where you get those groin pulls and hammy muscles get stretched. Slider turned over that time. Misses outside.
I mean, it can cause a lot of problems. Then you may alter the way you're going to plant the foot. It might change the way you deliver, might enter the shoulder, the elbow.
Two balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Ducey. And again, turned over and away. And the count is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Lee and Ward are due up for the Jays here in the top half of the 9th inning. With the seams as opposed to cross seaming the baseball. A lot of pitchers these days throw both ways for different movement.
Yeah, with the seam, you're going to get a little more movement. Since Hoy is a sinker ball pitcher, he probably holds it that way most of the time. Hold it across the seams, you're going to ride that fastball up in the strike zone. But with the seams, you're going to get a little better movement.
Roger Clemens throws both kinds of fastballs, whether he wants a movement down or he wants it to kind of be that so-called rising fastball. Throw the cross seamer. 3 ball, 2 strike count. And Ducey puts it up in the air to shallow left center. And Winningham will come over to haul it in, and the trifecta out there, 1 away in the 9th inning. Ducey retired, and that will bring up Lee. Emmanuel Lee 0 for 3. Now both teams have gotten what they wanted today. Morris got his work in to get him ready for this rotation for opening day. Clemens got his work in and looked strong. I mean, he's ready to go, which is the usual for Clemens. That's why he doesn't like to come to spring training camp early. In fact, he doesn't like to come at all. Show up about 2 weeks before the regular season probably, and he'd be ready. But he had the fastball moving today.
You still need to get those innings pitched. I was reading about Nolan Ryan. He still has to have he expects to go over 30 innings in the spring because he feels if he doesn't, he won't be ready for the start of the season, regardless of what other type of workout he does. He still needs to get those innings pitched in game situations.
2 ball 1 strike count. Hoy working to Lee, number 9 hitter for Toronto. You see that sinker. Well, you can see it. It moves down.
That's where you have to discipline yourself as a hitter. If you know a pitcher has a good sinker, if it starts out just at the strike zone at the knees, you know it's going to be a ball by the time it gets to the plate. So you have to have the patience and the discipline to take it, or you're going to pound it into the ground.
Yeah. And he's going to reach on the walk. He's going to struggle to get down there, though. The LPGA Standard Register final round is coming up, as you will see, from Phoenix, Arizona. These leaders going after the $82,500 winner's share of the $550,000 purse right here on ESPN. It's next as soon as our spring training game is done here at Chino Lakes Park in Winter Haven. One down and one on, and an undercut by Ward to left. Winningham. And this game is down to the final out. 2 down, 1 on, 9th inning for Butch Hobson. Progressing along here in spring training. And the weather just allowed this game to be had. It's picked up in the pace of the rain as the game's moved along here, and the field's starting to show it now. Hoy gets the strike. Drops down a little bit on the right-handers, doesn't he? Did on that one.
He
anyway.
would make that a little difficult with the righties when he starts doing that.
Especially if he still gets the sink on it. 0-1 count, 2 away. Inside that time, 1-1 to Kent. Alomar not on hand today, so Kent going the distance at second base today. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hoy. Back.
I think you hit it on the head when you were talking about what you try to accomplish in a spring training game. The Red Sox got Clemens out there. He got his work in. I think they accomplished a little bit what they're trying to do with base running. Saw a couple of Red Sox runners go from first to third, take that little extra chance. The Blue Jays, on the other hand, they got some innings out of Jack Morris and set him ready for opening day on April 6th in Detroit.
Got Carter back from the back spasms here and got him almost a full game in. Tony Peña's had a complete day behind the plate again, and the mud now moving up on the foul ball that bounced at home plate caught him in the eye, and you can't catch him, you can't see.
Well, Tony was right. He said he was going to go 9 today.
He wasn't kidding. He's a delightful guy to just spend time talking baseball to. Always enjoy seeing him in the clubhouse for a baseball game. Just ask him any question, and you're usually on your way for a pretty good discussion about what's going on in baseball.
There's the old tongue depressor to dig that dirt out of the cleats.
Peter Hoy getting that done. He's got some size on him, doesn't he? Tony 6 straight now here in spring training that he's worked for the Red Sox. One ball, 2 strike delivery. Red Sox up 11-4 as Hoy is trying to get the final out. Hoy is 6'7", 220. He is big.
Talking about Tony Peña, I'll always remember Chris Berman still tells this story. Tom Bolton was pitching one night for the Red Sox. We were doing the game, and he went up to Tony Peña and said, what is this guy Bolton? What is he? What can we look for? And Tony just looked at him and said, he's a lefty.
See, that's Tony knew the right answer, though. That's all you got to say. That means Tony never knows what's coming behind the plate either. 1-2 delivery outside by Hoy. 2-2 with 2 down.
Well, I'm looking forward to the year I'll be sharing Monday night with you and Chris. So we'll have some fun this year.
ESPN has added the Monday night game. Hoping to catch on to all you ABC Monday Night Football fans will hang in and watch baseball Monday night. So we've added another night and some very good matchups in the Monday night games. That one's lined into left. And hanging on at first base with just a single on that one is going to be Kent, but he got all of it. Winningham getting it back in. 2 down now. Runner on at first base. 9 hits for the Blue Jays on the 4 runs they've picked up. You hang in with us for the LPGA Standard Register golf tournament coming up next here on ESPN.
Here's the other young man that's vying for that shortstop spot, Eddie Zosky.
Oops.
Eddie out of that good baseball program at Fresno State, #1 pick of the Jays a couple of years ago, and gets introduced by a Peter Hoy pitch. Just got away from me.
Whoops. Zosky in 29 at bats, 4 hits, 1 double. Tags that one to left field. Herb Winningham looking to put this ball game away, and it's over. Red Sox have won at 11-4. Well, Tommy, we survived the rain with Dave Campbell, Tommy Hutton. Boston Red Sox 11 runs on 13 hits in this game, 4, 9, and 1 on the board for Toronto. These 2 teams in the back-to-back games have split it as Toronto picked up the win 9-5 yesterday. The Red Sox here at home put that one away 11-4. Hope you enjoyed it. Great to be with you as baseball's back. Our spring training games will continue here on ESPN. This is Gary Thorne. Thanks for being with us. 11-4.